All right, how's that?
Will be working with dealers such as Wana RV.
Sound good now?
RV sales, Extreme RV, D. Showalter RV, Goshen RV Center, and Park Model Connection will get you the best deals. Check out many vendors selling camping.
So I was saying that I'm a little distracted. The house that we were going to put an offer in, they just dropped the price on the house, and it's close to what we were going to offer anyway. So I'm in the middle of having a contract written up to buy a house in the middle of all of this, so I may be a little distracted.
Today's fluctuating interest rates.
I'm just going to apologize in advance.
Higher mortgage payments. At Quicken Loans, we've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates, so you can buy a home with certainty. It's called Rate Shield.
God, I hope I get in this place.
With Rate Shield, you can lock your interest rate while you shop for a new home. So if rates go up, you don't have to worry. And here's the best part. If rates go down, you get the lower rate. With Rate Shield, we really have you covered. Here are more.
We're going lower, but they're pretty close on where we wanted to settle.
JD Power has Quicken Loans, highest in the nation in customer satisfaction.
But yeah, so you may see me looking at my phone.
Also ranked us for mortgage servicing. Shield, another way we can save you money.
All right, national emergency.
Or go to rocketmortgage.com. Based on Rocket Mortgage data and comparison to public data records. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
Talk radio that talks with you.
What's up, Linda? How you doing?
Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
News Channel.
They're probably listening to this show. Could be. I'm not going to tell you where it is. And then maybe they won't know. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. And please put MNC at the beginning of that message. And I also want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. And, of course, if you mention me, they will give you a great discount, 50% off at the range. And you can also pick up some of my stabby, pokey knife things, some of my holsters, all of that stuff out there at Second Amendment Arms and Range. And they also have the Guns and Everything Outdoor Fall Show, which is brought to you by Trap and Fool and Second Amendment Arms and Range. That is happening Saturday, March 2nd. Starts at 9 a.m. Also happens on Sunday. More details on that coming up a little bit later on. All right, I'm going to play some audio for you today. Today was a day of national emergency declaration. So let's go ahead and listen to the president kind of tell everybody in the Rose Garden what actually happened.
The order is signed, and I'll sign the final papers as soon as I get into the Oval Office. And we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there. And we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court, just like the ban. They sued us in the Ninth Circuit, and we lost, and then we lost in the appellate division, and then we went to the Supreme Court, and we won. And it was very interesting because yesterday they were talking about the ban, because we have a ban. It's very helpful.
All right, he goes in, it kind of trails off after there, but he's out there, but he's right. And they'll go to the Ninth Circuit, they'll get a ruling, it'll go through the courts. Now, again, there's the expedited, rumored process of being able to ask the Supreme Court to look at it before going through everything else. But he's just out there singing. He's right, though. By the time it gets to the Supreme Court, you're going to have, a victory in the Supreme Court because he absolutely has the authority to do this. And every legal mind in the country is kind of pointing this out, except for a couple of pundits on some of the networks. But, if you go through the actual articles, I mean, it's crystal clear that he has the authority to do this. And of course, we've talked about the national emergencies and everything else that have been declared over the past, several decades. And, you're running into a lot of people on the right who don't like the declaration of a national emergency. And, I was asked about this today. I was at a Monterey Mexican Bar and Grill, and we did the live remote this morning for breakfast. By the way, thank you to everybody who came out. It was a lot of fun. The breakfast is fantastic. Their new coffee, oh my God, so good. And they have an exclusive blend made just for them. It was yummy. But somebody came up and asked me, so what do you think of the the executive national emergency thing. And I said, I don't like it. I prefer that it didn't have to happen this way. But what real choice have they left him? He blasted Paul Ryan today, too. He said, Paul Ryan, 2 years, he didn't get his job done. It's true. He didn't. It's even though more so, I would blast the Senate more so than I would blast Paul Ryan. But at the same time, he's right. The Republicans have not done this. And it's kind of interesting when you have people like Susan Collins, right? So Susan Collins is out there. I don't think he should be declaring a national emergency. That's just not right. It's taking power away from Congress. Well, you know what? I guess you should have voted for it then. She's one of those people that didn't allow it to happen. So now you've got a bunch of Republicans, conservatives, they're out there and they're saying that this is a bad idea. Okay. But again, what choice does he have? The choice is to not do anything or to do what is within his power to do. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, maybe if people would be a little bit more flexible on Ted Cruz's bill to go ahead and use El Chapo's money to go ahead and build a wall, then we wouldn't have to worry about all of this. But because Republicans and Democrats alike are fighting Ted Cruz on that, we're stuck. We're stuck. Do the same old thing that we've been doing for decades. It doesn't work. Or actually start to fix the problem in any way, shape, or form that you can. And that's kind of where he's at. This is not an abuse of power. That's the thing that everybody has to understand. There's nothing about this that is illegal. This is perfectly acceptable. This is within the power of the executive. They have the authority to do this. Now, you do have, again, some never Trump Republicans out there, all a pundit who's very famous, very good, Ben Shapiro, Dana Lash. These are people who are not fans of the president anyway. And they're out there talking about not wanting to use the executive power. Ben Shapiro cited 10 U.S.C. 284. He's wrong about that. But when you go out there, and I know it seems a little weird for a radio host guy to tell a lawyer that he's wrong about that, but he's wrong about that. That's not the only thing that he can do. Now, it might be the best legal case, but it's not the only thing that he can do to declare an emergency here. There's broad executive authority to do this, and the president can authorize this executive authority to use these funds. So he can absolutely do that. Now, where I somewhat agree with them is that they're out there going, all right, so what if the Democrats use this in the future to declare national emergencies on various other pet issues for Democrats? Okay, that's a fair point. Now, you do have some people running around and going, well, this would allow the Democrats to go ahead and declare a national emergency for firearms. I heard a politician say that. No, it doesn't, because there's something dramatically different about firearms than about this. Anybody have any idea what that is? Anyone? Yeah, firearms are in the Second Amendment. See, there's a huge issue. You can't take away people's Second Amendment rights via an executive order. You can't do that. However, the President of the United States has the full legal authority to control immigration into the United States. Therefore, an executive order is just exercising the power that he already has. That's it. And when he exercises the power that he already has, he can divert funds that he legally can divert without having to use the power of the purse in Congress. Okay, so there's these huge, major differences that some people just don't understand. Now, what I did see was interesting out there is that some of the Republican pundits out there, Dana Lash, I think, is the one that said this, was talking about this potentially being used as a filibuster in the future, or that they could do this for climate change or something else. All right. It's an interesting point. There's an argument there that if you can say that there is a national emergency at the southern border, then you can say there's a national emergency with climate change, and therefore you can go ahead and change some things around, right? Now, again, we run into some problems with the climate change thing because we are starting to talk about interstate commerce law. And again, interstate commerce law is codified stuff. The executive has the authority to regulate immigration. The executive doesn't have the authority to write away laws and just delete them. Okay, that can't happen. I know it has kind of happened or it's been suspended in the past. I get that. But there's a huge difference in what these people are trying to say could potentially happen. So I have a list of 31 annually renewed states of national emergency. Okay. Now, in 1976, the National Emergency Act was written into law. Okay. It was signed by President Ford. There have been 58 national emergencies declared since 1976. 31 are still active and renewed every year. 31. And if you want to go down this path of the president is setting precedent, Ben Shapiro said this today. He's setting precedent for something that the Democrats are going to use in the future. He's not setting precedent because precedent's already been set. That's why he's doing this. So I've got a list of 31 of these executive national emergencies that have been declared. They're still active. I'm going to go over this here in a couple of minutes, and I'm going to see if maybe some of you see that there might be some precedent set in those things, which could easily be, once again, exploited by Democrats or even Republicans going forward, because they're trying to pretend that this has never happened before, that there's never been an emergency declared like this before, and that what the president is doing has never been done before, and therefore he's going to be setting a new precedent and a new standard. That's not the case. And I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's because some of these people are political noobs and they haven't been around all that long. I don't know. But there is gaping holes in their logic that we're going to have to plug up with some facts here in just a couple of minutes. All right, we are live streaming. Go to youtube.com/Casey the host. Don't forget about open lines in the 5 o'clock hour. We do have a taste test today at 4:45. So that will be, and I'm not looking forward to this one. But not you either. No, yeah, this seems awful. You got the gushers, those like what, spicy, sweet and fiery gushers. Oh, good Lord, it's going to be terrible. My stomach's going to hurt all evening because of this. I know it. But we're live streaming. Go to youtube.com/Casey the host, facebook.com/Casey the host, and we'll talk about these executive national emergencies that are still in effect coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana News Channel.
Breaking news and weather station.
Weather served by the Prime Table restaurant in
Yes, Cedric, there is.
The Prime Table offers 2 homemade soups for
By definition,
every
absolutely.
day. Soup included with every sandwich, lunch, and dinner special.
Now, your home comfort experts, heating specialists, 5-day forecast.
A couple slick spots possible this morning. Otherwise, we are going to see some cold and breezy conditions today, with temperatures only reaching into the 20s as we get to this afternoon. We'll have partly cloudy skies as we head through most of today, with temperatures tonight dropping back down into the teens. We'll also see a few clouds start to move on in. And for Saturday, warming up to 32 degrees underneath partly cloudy skies. It'll be a pretty nice day to get out. As we get closer to Sunday, we'll see temperatures right around 30 degrees. Light snow showers in our forecast. And then a few flurries possible as we head into your Monday morning. Overall, only expecting about 1 to 3 inches of snow at most. And then for Tuesday, partly cloudy and a high of 32 degrees. In the ABC 57 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Kennedy.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell
What's up,
it
Frank?
fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-621-3277. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location.
Is it like a
I am not a
government
realtor or
shutdown
associated with any
or
realty
worse,
company.
or
I'm a
because
private
my
real
uncle
estate
is a close
investor who buys
member,
several
will
houses
be
a month, and I want to
affected?
buy more. Call me at
From
574-621-3277. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy
No, it's not going to be anything like that.
Do you own a house that is trashed and
Basically, what this does is when you have a national emergency, it frees up money in certain departments for the executive to use at their discretion. And so that's kind of what the president is doing. He's saying that we're going to declare a national emergency at the border, which will free up some Department of Defense funds that he can use to build a wall. That's kind of where we're at. So no, it shouldn't affect deployments or anything like that. If it does, I would be very, very surprised. Coast Guard, I don't think you're going to have any shifting of the Coast Guard anyway. National Guard and stuff like that have already been sent to the border, and they've added some active duty personnel, but I don't think the Coast Guard's mission would change.
You don't have to be separate. Adults, finish your degree and earn your MBA while focused on your personal and spiritual growth at Bethel College. Start with a transfer-friendly.
You stupid widget! It's not even like 15 minutes in.
Work experience. Set yourself up to finish faster and save money. Add adult
No,
classes
not from when I activated
one
it.
night a week. And finish courses
Maybe.
in only 7
Okay,
weeks.
maybe
That's
50.
only 7 classes per course.
We break it
The
16,
personal connection
we break it
on
10
campus
minutes.
and the small class sizes with
When
individual
do we break
attention and
16 on the
connect
6th?
with the
Yeah. So we
professors
break it
that
10
take
minutes
active
in.
roles as community and industry
had it
leaders
on
in
for
our
3
area
minutes.
with bachelor's, master's, and online programs.
Mayor Pete's the front runner for what?
Bethel College. Apply today online at bethelcollege.edu.
Besides his utterly ridiculous interview with Colbert last night.
So,
Surveys show that
in
most American adults get
and
an
the first
app
thing
in
that pops up
understanding
is
income
Pete
tax
Judge
basics. And while investors are concerned about rising taxes, most
There's a whole lot of people that are Googling the wrong thing.
Certified financial planner practitioner.
Wouldn't that be funny if that was the top search from Indiana, though?
but I soon realized
That
there
would be
aren't
pretty
many
funny.
guarantees in the financial world, and selling another financial product added little value to my client's bottom line. The only guarantees you're going to get in
Yeah, but he's the front runner on this one. What?
Oh, that's the tweet. It's the biggest 2020 election question. Whose name will get mangled?
Oh, okay.
Whose name will get mangled?
We'll get yeah. Considering CNN was with him for 2 days and they couldn't get his name right. Yeah.
866-482-9559.
That's pretty funny though. Self-deprecation is that's a good one. Oh, shut up. The best part is that the audio for this video is playing, even though it's showing that it's muted.
It seems like there's no end to it. But now there is
It's muted.
and easy to use solution, a natural solution. Snore Stop. Snore Stop was created and tested by a team of physicians and has been helping.
There's no video.
Over 18 years, it is the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the
Good
U.S.
Lord.
Thank you, Snore Stop.
God,
You
people.
saved my marriage.
Snore Stop. Sprays
Make your
or
damn
tablets
websites
now
appropriately.
available nationwide at Rite Aid and CVS, or you can go online
It was
at
pretty funny.
snorestop.com. Don't wait. It's time to try Snore Stop and make every night a better night for both of you.
Thanks, Snore Stop. Now I'm back in the bedroom.
So don't wait. Try Snore Stop, the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S. Spray or
know how
tablets are
much-
available
Now he
today
does.
at
Yeah, I wonder
Rite Aid
how
and
much that went
CVS
up in
or
this
online at
There's a lot that are fake,
snorestop.com.
too.
That's
Well, yeah,
snorestop.com.
but that's what they need.
Snorestop.
There's a video of Ocasio-Cortez going from like 1,700 likes to 17,000 likes in 10 seconds.
And I'm Greg Slater. I've been selling pre-owned vehicles for 16 years.
When all of the paid likes came through.
And every year there's a lot of excitement at tax time. Yeah, that's right. We have so many vehicles, we're running out of places to park. We have a tremendous offering of new Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, Buick, and GMC models. We only stock the best and most desirable of these premium brands. We have all makes and models of
Yeah, I did Colbert last night.
something for every need and every budget. There are a lot of options for what you can do with your tax return. Buying a new pre-owned vehicle from Lock Mini Motors is the best way to make that dollar go further and get more for your money. Using
Kind of.
money as a down payment lowers your monthly payment. You could be driving something newer or better than you are right now for a lower.
He was his best when he was being a parody.
Yeah.
And when he's himself, he's not very funny.
Many of us have been here for so long and have
So-
customers that come back over and over for all their vehicle needs. Shop the inventory right now at LockMondayMotors.com. I'm Dave Anderson. And I'm Greg Slabaugh. Visit Lock Monday Motors in Elkhart, a tradition of caring since 1954.
Hey there, it's Mark McGill. There is outrage and controversy over the new rankings of the best French fries in America. Details Monday morning. This is Morning News on News Talk 95.3.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right, so what do we have here? A couple of text messages floating in. By the way, I do want to thank R&B Car Company. Locations in South Bend and Warsaw, R&B Car Company are your used car experts. You see any traffic out there, you let us know. Casey, if SCOTUS upheld his moving money around, can a future president rip money out of military and give to green energy? They already say that climate change is our worst enemy. Well, they do say that it's a national security issue. So the climate change argument, I think, is the best one that has been made. You know, could they technically have an executive order? An executive order that says that climate change is a national emergency and therefore we can strip money from DOD and use it for that. Yeah, theoretically, you know, as you get into defense spending and things of that nature, and how they're going to reallocate those funds would depend on whether or not that would stand. But theoretically, I think that's the best argument. The people running around and going, oh, they could do this for gun control. No, they can't. You can't suspend the Constitution via an executive order. So, no, that doesn't work. Interstate commerce is also an issue with the climate change thing. That's where things get real interesting. So it all kind of depends on how they would use that money. You know, obviously, there can't be an executive order for a carbon tax or something of that nature. So it really just kind of depends. But theoretically, something could happen, sure. But that process is already, I think there's already precedent that's been set for that. Casey, none of the other emergencies tap into or rearrange funds, right? Well, no. That's not necessarily true because it depends on when they were enacted and what they're used for. For instance, some of the national emergencies that we have that deal with drugs and the drug trade, we absolutely use funds to seize assets, to carry out operations in support of those, that executive order. So yeah, it does cost. But again, diverting money, we'll go through the list here and we'll get to it here in just a second and see if you might have a point there. I can see. So if that's true, this does set a new precedent, right? No, not really. It's, if the executive has the authority to regulate immigration, this is where I think people are getting stuck. They're getting stuck on the declared national emergency means that the president can use executive fiat to use money however he wants for whatever pet project he wants. That's not what is happening. The executive branch of government already has the authority to regulate immigration. The executive branch of government, the commander-in-chief, has the authority to set immigration policy and border security. So these are things that are already within his sphere of influence, okay? So he's not reaching into another sphere of influence in order to take power from them. Whereas where I think a lot of people are getting nervous is that the executive, a future executive, would then issue some kind of an order declaring a national emergency, which would give them like dictatorial powers. That's not happening. Now, that's been the fear-mongering, but no, that's not happening. Casey, Trump could take the funds from the DOD. After all, he is the commander-in-chief of the Department of Defense. That's where it's likely to be coming from. It's going to be one of those things. Casey, thank you for inviting us to Monterey. Sausage burrito and coffee were excellent. It was a good visit with like-minded people. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. How odd anti-Trumpers worry about law and precedent with the president, but ignored Article 4, Section 4, and Congress's responsibility to protect against invasion. There's a case for that. So let's go through. We've got 31 of these things, right? So national emergency, this is 1979, national emergency with respect to Iran in response to the Iran hostage crisis. That is still in effect. And it's renewed every year. There hasn't been a hostage crisis since the 70s. Why is it renewed every year? Because it gives the government latitude to do things like seize assets. 1994, national emergency with respect to the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction that combined two previous national emergencies focused on weapons of mass destruction. 1995, prohibition transactions with terrorists who threaten to disrupt the Middle East peace process. Another 1995 national emergency with respect to prohibiting certain transactions with respect to the development of Iranian petroleum resources. Another 1995, Bill Clinton was real active, by the way. National emergency in more than one ways. National emergency with respect to blocking assets and prohibiting transactions with significant narcotics traffickers centered in Colombia. And then you have 1996. Regulations of the anchorage and movement of vessels with respect to Cuba was after civilian planes were shot down near Cuba. These are all renewed every year, okay? So, I mean, you could argue that precedent is being set for international treaties with the 1996 one, and that is stripping authority away from Congress with regard to treaties. National emergency with respect to blocking Sudanese government property and prohibiting transactions with Sudan. Then, of course, you get into George W. Bush, blocking properties or persons who threaten international stabilization efforts in the Western Balkans. That's because of the Bosnian War. National emergency with respect to export control regulations, renewed presidential power to control exports in a national emergency since the Export Administration Act of 1979 lapsed. So that might actually have some climate change implications. National emergency with respect to certain terrorist attacks, persons who commit, threaten, or commit or support terrorism. 2003, blocking property, undermining democratic process in Zimbabwe. So again, all of these things, it's money being used to now seize this stuff. But that money is being used with the departments that would be tasked with it. So the Department of Defense is obviously tasked with defending the borders of the country. So the Department of Defense is not, we're not moving money around as what people are saying. It's a good question, don't get me wrong. But when you have an executive order like this, you assume that the BATF is going to be involved in that, and that they're going to be carrying out operations which cost more money, which is going to have them asking for more money in their budget and that sort of thing. A national emergency, development fund for Iraq and certain other property in which Iraq has an interest. 2004, blocking property of certain persons prohibited from exports of certain goods to Syria. 2006, involves Belarus. So yeah, you can. I mean, I can go through the list here. It's all 31. I'll put it in the daily show prep, but we don't need to. But you go through this stuff, and there's a whole lot of things that have been done that would be that precedent that so many people are saying that President Trump is already doing. But there's some precedent in here, if you ask me, for the climate change angle that would allow the president to maybe skirt around some of the Commerce Clause stuff, since it's already been enacted and nobody's challenged it. It may very well happen. Let's not forget the executive order on the internet. That one scared a lot of people with the federal government's ability to shut down the internet in a national emergency. So that thing has been reauthorized every single year too. So there are some precedent-setting executive orders that could be exploited by future people. Nobody's talking about that. They're only talking about this one. 574-25-95-95-3. That's 2595-953. You can also send me a text message at 45364. MNC News Time is 3:31. Time to check out Masters Heating and Air Conditioning online at mastersheatcool.com. Masters gets there faster.
This is Michiana's breaking
News and weather station. Michiana's News Channel on 95.3 FM, the 95.3 MNC app, and online at 95.3mnc.com. I'm Sean Zimney.
I don't know how many of you follow me on Twitter, but there's a douche nozzle called Steve Wagner on Twitter. And not a bright individual. Like, it's not just somebody who wants to debate with you and disagrees with you. Just not bright, okay? And they actually said that there were no illegal acts that happened under Obama, and that all of the stuff that did happen that were illegal, like Fast and Furious and the IRS scandal, was a, quote, conspiracy theory, in spite of the we'll move on. In spite of the fact that we have documented proof that all of that stuff happened. So, I mean, you're dealing with kooks.
Bicycle then drove away eastbound. The vehicle likely has major front-end damage.
Who? I'm sorry,
Public
what?
Health is being sought by the St. Joseph County Fatal Crash Team. Officials are looking to review video from nearby businesses in the hopes of getting a better look at that vehicle.
Fox News, I'm Rich Dennison. California's governor says his state will sue President Trump over the emergency declaration to fund a border wall. The president earlier this afternoon signed an executive order declaring a national emergency.
I will
to fund the border
pass that
wall
on to
access
him for
funds
you.
for the border wall.
No problem.
Chicago police say 2 men are in custody in connection with the alleged attack on TV actor Jussie Smollett. The 2 men, Nigerian,
Is he okay?
were arrested at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport after returning from Nigeria. The 2 men haven't been arrested.
He sounds like he's going to have a heart attack.
Have been filed.
But I was more concerned
The
if they had
NFL has
people in
settled
custody.
lawsuits with 2 players, Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed. This is Fox.
He doesn't.
That doesn't.
He sounds like he just ran a marathon to get in there, or he's having a heart attack.
My favorite is the hamburger. My favorite's the pancake.
Now, your home comfort experts, heating specialist first warning forecast.
Cold and
How
breezy
goes
today
it?
with mostly cloudy skies turning.
She's trying to
partly
figure
cloudy.
out
Temperatures won't even make it out of the
what
20s
inspections I
for a
want.
daytime high.
Yeah.
For tonight,
I want to do any
clouds
extra
back with a low
inspections
of
and all that
16.
stuff. So
And for Saturday, will be pretty nice with partly cloudy skies and a high of 32. The light snow returns for Sunday.
like radon and all that.
First warning, neighborhood virus
I can get a radon inspection later, I think.
News powered by Polymax at 4 Lakes. Visit Wednesdays for trivia night or check out the daily specials Tuesdays through Saturdays. Come taste what it
Don't
is
post.
American food great again.
Polymax at 4 Lakes. Locally raised meats.
My wife.
Classics like walleye, bluegill,
Oh,
haddock,
dude,
cut Chairman's
don't.
Reserve steaks, slow smoked ribs, double bacon, double
Oh,
cheeseburgers, rings, and a full bar to put the finishing touches on your visit. Just a short drive from anywhere in Michiana. We're located between the 9th and 10th holes at the 4 Lakes Golf Course on Highway 12 in Edwardsburg, and we are open to the public. Check out our daily at 2 cents through Saturday as it tastes what it
God.
means to make American food great again.
He's posting pictures of the house we're getting ready to put an offer in. I'm like, take it down! What's the matter with you? Don't let anybody know.
Same as the national brands, but because we're factory direct, we eliminate warehouses and middlemen. So the Elkhart Bedding everyday price is less than sale prices at other stores.
Text message says, business-minded Trump wants to reallocate funds. Career politicians would just print more money.
By factory direct at Elkhart
Anybody with half a brain and any basic knowledge of what happened in World War II knows that putting more money is a bad idea.
Right, but people do it.
This is who's your ad today's Friday closing.
Literally, Germany printed so much money that the franc was useless, and the only thing it was good for was, fun fact, they used it as Tinder.
Yes, they did.
Because they couldn't afford to buy firewood.
And they didn't have the Tinder app available at the time, which would have really kept them warm.
726-6224. Stocks and crude oil responded
He's buying.
news of the government staying open.
Huh?
Progress in trade discussions
Happy
with China.
asked if you were buying or selling.
Oh, buying.
He doesn't own the house he's in right now. He's renting.
Was going to buy the house that I'm in right now. That fell through. We were looking at a house, and we've been looking at a couple of them, and finally found one that I like. And we were just strategizing this morning about the price we were going to offer them, and then today they dropped the price. So we're like, let's move, because I don't want more people getting into the house and like creating competition.
So how will the polar vortex affect your heating bill? Maybe not.
Although the few people that have gone in there and looked at it haven't really understood what needs to be done to it, and so they've been kind of scared off. It's like a 60-year-old home and has some 40 to 60-year-old technology in it that people don't understand.
Will come in at
So.
$600 for the season, down from the previous estimate of $625. Officials won't say if climate change has anything to do with it. They just study the numbers. Prices also depend on how much utilities draw from storage. Ride company Lyft is pitching investors on its growth as it prepares to go public. Lyft wants to beat Uber as the first publicly listed ride company, telling potential shareholders that it's driving more people than it did a year ago. Lyft now serves more than 600 North American cities. Wall Street
I think Uber was first. I think so.
With the Fox Business Report, I'm Pat O'Neill.
You see them all around town. Cintas trucks and their service.
I'm buying a house from Dwayne.
You know they're confident. Cintas helps with their fire protection.
That would be funny.
Maybe that would cheer.
Handles their apparel solutions and helps keep their
What is interesting about this, right? So I'm looking at the picture that was posted of the house. So she went home and got her camera and went back and took the nicest photo of the house that has ever existed instead of the crap listing photos, and she's blasting it all over the internet. And I'm like, take it down. I don't want anybody to know where it is.
And now I'm a painter. I love to paint. I really do. People are not a big fan of having their house work for a long period of time. That's where I think we come in, and we have a larger crew. So a bedroom or a great room is not taking us 3 days.
Sometimes she forgets that like this entire community knows who I am. And like I know listeners who figured out where I lived based on my general conversations on the air. And like, I know where you live. You're on this street right here. I have listeners that are across the street who figured it out. It's like, oh. So where normal people could post this stuff and it wouldn't be a big deal, we post it, and like the risk of somebody who would influence this deal is a very real possibility. I think Benghazi was, I think he was an Olympic runner, wasn't he? Or did he do hurdles? Probably did hurdles.
And your work life don't have to be separate. Adults, finish your degree and earn your MBA while focused on your personal and spiritual growth at Bethel College. Start with a transfer-friendly approach and find credits for prior learning and even work experience.
I'm not telling you a damn thing, Happy. Jesus.
Add adult classes, only one and finish courses.
Not telling you nothing. Not till it's a done deal.
Make the personal connection on campus and the small class sizes with
I want anybody to know.
Bachelor's, master's, and online programs.
The last thing I need is the deal to get screwed up. The second last thing I need is for all of you to know where I live. Okay? I don't need that. People be showing up at my door at like 1 in the morning. What do you think of this? I just saw this on Fox.
They see these big things going down the road, and I'll wish I could never have one of those. And we have units that started around $100 a month.
Oh, man.
It's all about fun.
It's funny.
Sitting around the campfire with your wife in the evening, with your kids.
Yeah, I'm watching it. Active shooter situation in Aurora, Illinois. Now, I will say that there was an alleged active shooter situation earlier today that ended up being nothing, so we're keeping an eye on it. It's on in the studio here. I used to live in Aurora when I was a wee little lad.
And my service departments have probably easily 200 years of experience in there right now. The majority of them have been with me for years. Find us 2 miles north of the bypass on Highway 19 in Elkhart or at internationalrvwholesalers.net.
Isn't it interesting, though? A guy went into a dentist office the other day and killed his wife and was threatening other people, and it didn't become instantly national news. This becomes national news. Why? Because it's in Illinois? It's at an industrial complex. All right. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's
News Channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364, and please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So we've been following this. We're now starting to get more information about it. Somebody sent me a text about the active shooter situation in Aurora, Illinois. We have it on in the studio here, and it just came through that several officers have been wounded. So if we go to WGN, reports of 6 shot at Henry Pratt plant. It's being evacuated. U.S. Marshals are on the ground. The shooter is apparently at large. Shots are still being fired at this point. So that's currently what we're dealing with. Heavy police presence at the Henry Pratt Company near Highland Avenue and Prairie Street. Again, Aurora, Illinois. I used to live there when I was a kid. Illinois police confirmed to WGN that they are en route to an active shooter situation. Law enforcement source told WGN that Kane County's SWAT team has been deployed, and also a U.S. Marshals task force. A source said that 1 Aurora police officer is down and the shooter is at large. 2 businesses in the area told WGN that they have been told by police to stay inside. School district is also going on lockdown in the area, which you would expect. Fox News just flashed a news flash over there saying that several officers have been wounded, and there's reports of civilians wounded as well. Chicago Sun-Times, let's head over there. And anytime something like this happens in a big city, you have the luxury of having some of the biggest media outlets in the world on the ground there, because local news on these events are always way better than the national news. Active shooter has been reported outside of a factory in Aurora. Let's see. It's on Highland. Trying to get new information. So 2 minutes ago, there are reports of an active shooter at the Henry Pratt building near Cleveland and Prairie, just east of Luigi's Pizza. As a result, we are holding all district students in place for their safety, according to a statement from the West Aurora School District 129. So right now, latest thing just flashed on the screen was multiple victims are being airlifted, and it's an ongoing incident, which means it's not done with yet. So the shooter is at large. So this could very well be a workplace situation where you maybe have a disgruntled employee coming in, but we don't know. Again, it's all speculation. Now's where a bunch of speculation is going to happen. And as we always caution you in these cases, we don't know anything. And the media doesn't know anything. And chances are what the media does know is incorrect, because in these situations when it's breaking news, the sources that feed information to the press often don't know themselves. And sometimes those are law enforcement, but they haven't been given all of the information. They're going by what they hear on their radio. Stuff you hear on your radio, the chatter in a developing incident like this are often incorrect. as they're trying to get through the chaos and the fog, if you will, and kind of calm things down. So again, they're saying it's ongoing, it's active, multiple officers, last we heard on Fox, multiple officers injured, civilians injured, people are being airlifted. We got SWAT teams involved, we got the marshal's office involved. It doesn't look like it's a tactical situation in the live video feed. In the video feed, it looks like they're staging and that the incident may be over, okay? But it could just be that they're getting ready to sweep the building and they're staging for that. There isn't any I should say energetic activity at this point. They're walking kind of calmly. They're doing some sweeps, that sort of stuff. It doesn't appear that there's still a shooter engaging with them, but we don't have all of the facts on the ground. So, of course, we'll continue to follow this and give you updates as they come through. But once again, active shooter situation in Aurora, Illinois, at a factory in the suburbs there, with reports of multiple officers and civilians wounded. We don't have any idea what the severity of those injuries are, and it is ongoing. As soon as we know more, we will, of course, continue to update you on this. More coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather served by the Prime Table Restaurant in Niles. The Prime Table offers 2 homemade soups prepared fresh every day. Soup included with every sandwich, lunch, and dinner special.
Huh? 4 officers injured. I wish these things wouldn't. I mean, they always happen during my show, but I wish they wouldn't happen during Shepard Smith's show because he's terrible at covering these things. Doing what?
They're on a soft lockdown.
Okay.
So it means nobody can leave their room. Lights are on, everything's going on. You just can't go to the room.
Right. Light snow showers in our forecast, and then a few flurries possible as we head into your Monday morning. Overall, expecting about 1 to 3 inches of snow at most.
Fire department is requesting as many ambulances as possible.
In the ABC 7 First Warning Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ellie Kennedy.
My name is Hendrickson. I've been selling new cars at Lock Money Motors for 30 years. And I'm Greg Slabo. I've been selling pre-owned vehicles at Lock Money Motors for 16 years. Greg and I have been working together a long time, and every year there's a lot of excitement tax time. Yeah, that's right. We have so many vehicles, we're running out of places to park. We have a tremendous offering of new Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Dodge.
Thermodyne to the other side.
Okay. And most desirable for these premium brands. We have all makes and models of pre-owned vehicles, something for every need and every budget. There are a lot of options for what you can do for tax return. Buying a pre-owned vehicle from Lock Money Motors is the best way to make that dollar go forward. Make it work for your money. Using that money as a down payment lowers your monthly payment. If you're trying something newer or better, or right now, for a lower payment, Lock Money Motors values honesty and integrity are having their customers and employees alike. That's why so many of us have been here for so long, and our customers are coming back over and over for all their vehicle needs. Shop the inventory right now at LockMoneyMotors.com. I'm Hendrickson, and I'm Greg Slabo. Visit Lock Money Motors in Oak Grove, a tradition of carrying since 1954.
How do you get in there to stop this active shooter, but also maintain the safety?
It's so nice now that the kids are asleep.
Cheers.
We got the kids, our house, a stable income.
Checking out all the boxes.
But there's one box we haven't checked out. Life insurance. That's why now is the best time. Life insurance gets more expensive the older you get.
But I don't have time to do a blood test. Such a hassle for me, so I'll just get a quote.
Not with Ethos. It's a modern kind of life insurance.
Can you turn this thing down?
Answer 4 quick questions. I get
Yes, we are okay. We're on lockdown.
How far are you from here and from the scene, and what did you hear?
We're about maybe not even a mile away. We heard about 3 or 4 shots, and then we saw a lot of
3 or 4 shots from a mile away?
Yeah, it was really loud.
Yeah, Shep, it's only a mile away. This is why he shouldn't cover these things.
An hour ago.
So right about 2 o'clock?
Give or take at this time and stuff like that. But we had the kitchen open, the door, and we can hear it because it was on Prairie and Highland, and we are on Prairie and Lake Street.
And do you have an idea about how many shots you heard?
Just told you that.
And what is the situation now? We know that the school district is on what they're calling a soft lockdown. Where do you work, and what's the situation there?
She just said they were on
I work for
lockdown.
Mommy and Aiden Academy at the daycare center, and one of my parents' mom works there where this is happening. So I guess the employee got fired and started doing all that.
Employee disgruntled.
Well,
Who called it?
We got the same reporting from WFLD in Chicago.
So reports are that some employees got laid off, and that's when the shooting started.
That's something that's been said around, but before we confirm that, of course, we'll have to wait to hear from authorities. We have a map that's put together. Stay with me now, Tanya. We have a map that's put together of this Henry Pratt company, and there it is in the big wall. You can see it's an enormous place. A lot of folks work there, huh, Tanya?
Well, yeah, Henry Pratt is a big manufacturer, Shep. Jeez.
No, I don't know.
But you said the mother of one of the children at your daycare.
Yeah, doesn't mean she knows.
Right.
You're a fucking idiot.
This is why I hate Shepard Smith covering these things.
Make sure everything is okay.
FBI is there now too. FBI and ATF are both there. Plus local police.
For the last hour.
Yeah, they're bringing everybody.
I'm sure it has. Are you guys keeping the kids there and not letting people?
No shit, dude.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. So we're looking at the active shooter situation in Aurora. It looks pretty serious. The last report that we had was the fire department was requesting as many ambulances as were available. And Shepard Smith is talking to not a witness, but somebody who is about a mile away at a facility that is on lockdown. And they had heard that there were some layoffs happening today. Now, again, this is all unconfirmed, and we all have to keep in mind that anytime you have a situation like this, it is fluid. Information will change. Incorrect information will get out there. We pass it on to you in order to keep you updated on it. Others will try to make it the actual case or that it is some fact or something of that nature. Just keep in mind that almost everything that you hear over the next couple of hours is going to change. So what we know right now is that we've got the marshal's office. We've got local police. We've got the FBI en route now, if they're not already there on scene. We've got SWAT teams involved. We've got an active shooter at the Henry Pratt facility in Aurora, Illinois. The reports are that several civilians are hurt. At least 4 officers are hurt. That's the latest report. Again, that doesn't mean it's accurate, but that's the latest report that we have. We don't have the severity of those injuries. However, there are victims being airlifted, which usually means they're very serious. You also had, again, the fire department. Right after we went to break, we saw a blurb that came across the screen that said the fire department was requesting as many ambulances as were available. This is a large facility. Henry Pratt is a big manufacturer, so this is a big facility. There's a lot of people there. And again, the person that was talking to Shepard Smith on the phone was saying that we had heard that there was some layoffs that were coming down, and this could very well be tied to that. Again, we don't have any confirmation of that. We don't have any additional details. All of the local news in Chicago also still pretty much feeding exactly what I just told you. No additional information. So you have the ATF. ATF has tweeted out, ATF Chicago is responding to a reported active shooter situation at a manufacturing company in Aurora, Illinois. So the ATF is confirming all of this, obviously. We don't have any numbers. We don't have the injuries. We don't have a motive. We don't have any of that. But as time goes on, obviously that stuff will become available. But in the meantime, you're going to have social media, of course, blowing up with people who are looking to immediately politicize it. They're going to tell you that weapons were involved, that nobody has any idea if they were involved. They're going to tell you that motivations were involved that we don't really know. And again, it's because it's a workplace and not a public place. It seems most likely that this is a disgruntled employee situation. That doesn't mean that that is the case at all. There was a dentist office shooting that happened earlier this week where a man went to a dentist's office. He murdered his wife. She was filing for divorce, murdered his wife. A citizen was able to wound the shooter and keep him in custody until law enforcement got there. So it could very well be that somebody works there that was being targeted. We don't know yet. But the FBI is responding. They're not giving out a lot of new details. There's not much else that I can give you beyond what they have. Now, I can tell you that the way that things are happening, they haven't told us if the incident is over or if the danger has subsided, but the way that everybody is behaving is not standard tactical situation. So they are saying that they're looking. So it appears that they're going to be going through this facility and trying to find the shooter. This is a huge plant. So if somebody is still around and hiding, then there's a lot of places for them to hide. So the search could take quite a while. There's also the possibility that the first shooter could be down and maybe they're looking for additional shooters. We don't really know. Okay. So at this point, I don't really know what else to tell you other than we're watching this, and any updates to it, we're going to pass on to you. And we're likely going to be going back to this on a regular basis throughout the rest of the show. If there's any big breaking news on it, the show will probably deviate towards that topic. Right now, there's nothing new that I can offer you. And so we'll probably just keep going with what we're doing just until we have any additional information. This is all breaking news, just happened about 40 minutes ago. We were watching it in the studio here, and somebody had sent a text, and I was just getting ready to text them back saying that we're watching it, and that's when the blurb came across that officers were wounded. And at that point, we have to cover it. Now, the reason that we don't cover these automatically is there's a lot of them that are reported as active shooters, and they're not. So, for instance, earlier today, there was a reported active shooter in the country, and it ended up not being an active shooter. There's no shooter at all. There's nobody in any danger. But, if you rush to it, it becomes a big news story, that sort of thing. So you just kind of wait for something to develop. Once you find out that there's actual injuries and that we have law enforcement involved and it's a big deal, then we start covering it just to ensure that there is a real story there. Because it's almost like covering big fires. A lot of times they're not, and it doesn't become, a huge story. Speaking of Chicago, we do have some Jussie Smollett updates. Now, early reports had law enforcement telling a local reporter that they were now of the mindset that Jussie Smollett manufactured the attack on him. Immediately after the reporter tweeted that out, an ABC 7 reporter, law enforcement got a hold of the reporter and said, we're still treating him as a victim. So there's an important distinction there. They're not saying that he is a victim. They're saying that they're still investigating it as if he were a victim, but that doesn't mean that insiders were incorrect in what they were feeding to the reporter, that this was a manufactured hate hoax. The two suspects that were on camera, they did track them down. They are from Nigeria. They're friends with Jussie Smollett. The reason that they are considered suspects is because they apparently flew to Nigeria like the day after the alleged attack happened. But they work out together with Jussie Smollett. At least one of them was on the show as Jussie Smollett. So they have a relationship with one another. And so there is some concern. They're both black. They're both from Nigeria. So at this point in time, the suspects involved in this, not even white. So it doesn't appear to be a hate crime at all. Okay. At least not a racial hate crime. I find it difficult to believe that they would have had an issue with his sexuality, considering they've been friends with him and he follows them on social media. They follow him on social media and they work together. I find it difficult to believe that they had an issue with his sexuality. So it doesn't appear to be a hate crime dealing with that. So now it could be a domestic situation, could be a hoax, could be any number of things. But right now the story is almost completely unraveled. But the police did say that they have the two in custody, that they're questioning them, and that they're continuing to investigate this whole process. But earlier today, ABC 7 reporters were being told by law enforcement sources that they were now suspicious that this was a manufactured incident and was not in any way, shape, or form as Jussie Smollett had described. So it doesn't look good for him at this point in time. Now, again, if they charge him, they're going to have to prove that he manufactured something or that he made it up. And if they can prove that, then he's going to face charges. If they can't prove that, he's likely not going to face any charges. So that becomes the real suppression here. If they did attack him, because maybe there's a falling out, they don't like him, they attacked him, and maybe they were trying to make it look like Trump supporters or white supremacists or whatever had attacked him, then that's always a possibility too. But at this point in time, it doesn't look very good for him. So again, no new information. We do have the sheriff saying that they are deploying all available personnel to help the police there. Coupled that with the fire department asking for all available ambulances in the area, it doesn't look good at this point in time in Aurora, Illinois, but we don't have any numbers or anything like that. So as that stuff starts trickling out, we'll be able to give you updates on what's happening. So I'll probably hit it when we come in and come out. A witness says that he was shooting everybody. That's a blurb that's on Fox News right now. So again, as we continue to learn more information, we'll pass it on to you. But there's not a lot to go on right now as this is just developing. They still have to sweep the building and find the shooter. But we'll keep you updated throughout the rest of the program. More coming up on Newstalk 95.3 Michiana's news channel. Don't forget you can watch the live stream at youtube.com/Casey the Host.
No word on where this shooter is, or at least the shooter has not yet been taken into custody. We're fast approaching the 3 o'clock.
Or the shooter is
President
dead.
Trump today using his executive powers to gain access to.
Okay, just want to make sure that it was working. There we go. So that's
It's
playing.
3 o'clock in Aurora, Colorado. I'm Shepard Smith in New York, and this is
Aurora, Colorado, guys. That's where it's happening.
Shepard Smith said Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah, we got it right that time.
Where right now, at the Henry Pratt Company, there is said to be an active shooter.
How do you not know who Henry Pratt is?
We have at this moment comes to us, well, from the sheriff there who tells
If you're in the news media, how have you not heard of Henry Pratt?
Because we've only been in the news media for like 3 months.
Well, not you.
Come on, that was kind of funny.
Shepard Smith could tell you the ins and outs of everything that happened in Paris when the Paris shooting happened. He was telling people where the bathrooms were at the Bataclan and everything.
there it is, a massive police presence around this area, which is on the west side of Aurora. And the latest from the Daily Herald, multiple civilians and police officers have been wounded, and the shooter is still at large in this industrial area, according to preliminary reports from the scene. There are some
Michiana's news channel,
which I won't go into yet because they're unconfirmed. Quoting now, there is an active shooter situation. More information to be available. That's from the Aurora Police on the city of Aurora on Twitter.
Yeah, there's just not any information coming out right now. It's so new. They're dealing with securing the scene first.
Police urging anyone in the area to remain in place. These are our first on the ground. Again, all of that reporting that I just gave you directly from the Daily Herald newspaper from the Chicago suburbs. Cameras now on the ground on scene, and you can see
A witness told CNN that the shooter was a coworker.
fire officials on scene.
what do you want to talk to Casey about? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I will.
I guess
Okay.
in the beginning they just really didn't have an idea of how many people may have been injured. We see more ambulances arriving now on the aerial shot from WLS. A couple of more red fire department ambulances making their way
Okay,
on
I will pass that on to
even as we speak. We
No
don't
problem.
know numbers yet, but I think that the headline is
Something about Mexican workers at a casino.
we don't know whether the shooter
Yeah, so we've got multiple, and I don't know if it's the same person. We've got somebody on CNN saying it was a coworker and somebody on ABC saying it was a coworker that had been fired.
I can change it to a different if you want. To news. No,
No, this is fine.
Okay.
tend to remain almost exactly the same.
Twitter is going to be your best source of information at this point. You just got to sift through all the people politicizing it.
Fired. It's the witnesses who are reporting now that there was an employee who was going down an aisle. This to ABC7, our network news service affiliate there. A witness, a person claiming to be a witness, saying that there was an employee, a fellow employee, walking down the aisle and quote shooting everybody. We don't know how officers became injured, and the authorities have not confirmed that, except for the sheriff speaking to ABC7. But the Daily Herald, they're reporting that 4 police officers have been injured and taken to hospitals. We do not know their conditions or the conditions of the civilians who were injured as well. But we have been listening to the reporting of Fox News Chicago, Fox 32, for the Chicagoland area. So let's listen in now as they're beginning or continuing live coverage now in the 3 o'clock Central Time hour.
It's 3 o'clock.
So that's what the focus is. You want to find these vendors, you want to fix them in place, and then do what you have to do from there in order to resolve the situation.
Yeah, I also want to bring up, I'm seeing reports on Twitter that police are now saying the actual location of it is at 641 Arch.
There's breaking news now on Fox News Channel. We just learned the shooter has been apprehended. Our Jonathan
Shooter's in custody.
This is from the Twitter account of the city Aurora of Aurora. They are now saying on Twitter that the shooter has indeed been apprehended. The area, though, as you can imagine, remains on complete lockdown area of the city of Aurora. Now, we don't know where a few minutes ago, Chef, we were watching that more intense activity as a lot of armed police officers swept into one of those buildings. That may have been the moment when they apprehended this shooter. We don't know if the shooter is dead or alive. All we know from the account of the city of Aurora is that a shooter has now been apprehended. Clearly very good news, but obviously there may be more bad news to come. We don't have anything official on figures of the numbers of those wounded, but you quoted that eyewitness a short time ago who was in one of those buildings, said he saw a gunman running through the area, quote, shooting everyone. So a lot more to learn on this, but the one piece of good news, according to the city of Aurora, the shooter has now been apprehended. Chef Jonathan Hunt with the breaking news. Jonathan, thank you. Chicago Tribune now with the same news. Dozens of police officers on scene. We don't know a number of injuries, but the Tribune and the local papers there are reporting many injuries, many people shot. Fox News Chicago still with local live reporting. Let's listen. And this is something where the forensic investigators are going to be here for an extremely long period of time documenting the evidence.
So this is just getting going here. The Kane County State's Attorney had written earlier that we're told multiple people have been struck by gunfire. I'm looking at the Washington Post reporting that they heard from police in Aurora that multiple officers were injured. We're waiting to confirm that. Again, we do know that the Daily Herald has said that 4 officers have been hurt, multiple civilians wounded and being airlifted to the hospital. Again, just coming minutes ago that the shooter has been apprehended, but the area around here remains locked down. I want to bring up again the fact where I think we might be zeroing in right now.
I want to show you a different picture coming in from WLF, which is another of our network news service affiliates. Right in the center there, you can see these ambulances that have all moved in. That the shooter has been apprehended. It was about 2 to 3 minutes before that this series of ambulances made their way in there. And history tells us from covering way too many of these sorts of situations over the past 20 years or so. The ambulances often move in once the police have said, all right, there's no longer a threat.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. So we have breaking news in the situation in Aurora, Illinois. The active shooting situation is unfolding. The suspect has been apprehended, ladies and gentlemen. They've now allowed the ambulances to move in to start taking victims out. Multiple witnesses now say it was, in fact, a coworker. One witness told ABC that it was a coworker that had just been fired. We don't know, obviously, the circumstances of that termination or why. Other witnesses say that the coworker was walking up and down the hallway shooting fellow coworkers, and that's where the situation happened. Again, reports of 4 officers wounded. We do not know the nature of their injuries. We don't know the severity of their injuries. All we know is that the fire department had asked for as many available ambulances as could get out there to get out there. They have lined up. They have now started to move in and are going to start taking people and treating them as best they can. Several people have already been reported to have been admitted to the hospital. We also have some reports of airlifting victims out, which obviously is very serious. Those are usually life-threatening injuries. So right now, let's see, John Probst, this is ABC 7. John Probst, an employee there, escaped the building. He said that he saw a man holding a pistol with a laser scope. So he had a laser sight on his firearm. He said that he recognized the shooter as a coworker. He said that he saw other coworkers injured and that the shooter was firing indiscriminately. One of the guys was up in the office. He said this person was shooting and he came running down and he was bleeding pretty bad. The next thing you know, he was walking back and forth. I heard more shots and we just left the building. He said that he and a coworker had escaped through the back door. Officials have asked residents to remain in place, shelter in place. Obviously, the schools are sheltering as well. ATF, FBI, Marshal Service, local law enforcement, everybody is out there. But again, the latest we have is that the shooter has been taken into custody. and that we don't know the nature of that. Now, we don't know if that means the shooter has been killed. We don't know if they're injured. We don't know if they're uninjured, if they surrendered. We don't know. Typically, when they say that they've been taken into custody, that's one of the initial things that we hear. We're going to go ahead and go to Shepard Smith on Fox News, get a little bit of what the latest report are through Fox.
Round shots from WBBM, folks from the ATF sort of milling about, people talking on phones. Much more relaxed situation now for those who protect and serve. Now those who treat the wounded, it's their moment to jump into action. We don't know the number of victims. We don't know from authorities how they took this suspect down, where they found this suspect. Was there some sort of had he been holding anyone, or had he been threatening in any way? But you can imagine the tension from these police officers. If the reports from the Daily Herald are accurate that a number of officers were injured, certainly extremely high tensions there until they were able to get this suspect neutralized in one way or another. Fox News Chicago is still breaking into afternoon coverage, afternoon programming to bring their viewers in Chicago live coverage, and we appreciate being able to simulcast that now.
But, you know, at this point, would they be trying to take an active shooter in peacefully? Would they try to take him out? Well, you know what? Actually, there was a question I was going to ask you earlier. Would you be bringing in negotiating experts at this point to try to talk to him, to try to get him to come out peacefully before resorting to firing, using a police officer discharging his firearm?
I have some new witness reporting. Once again, to our network news service affiliate ABC7, and we thank them. They spoke with another witness who says that he saw inside the building what looked like, and I'm quoting here, a green laser coming from the gunman's pistol. This caller to ABC7 from inside the building said he recognized the shooter as one of his coworkers. Oh, my goodness. The witness says that approximately 30 of his coworkers were in the building at the time of the shooting. The witness says it's a huge facility. That's a quote, with lots of racks and storage. Another witness who spoke to ABC7 earlier, and I told you about this, said he saw a guy running down the aisle with a pistol that he recognized. Same witness said he recognized him as a coworker and that he was, quote, shooting everybody. So this from a caller into ABC7 there in Chicago. These pictures from Fox News Chicago in what appears to be the central area of concern. We don't know if this is the area where they neutralized the suspect. And I keep saying neutralized because we don't know the circumstances surrounding it. Did they take him into custody? Was he injured in some way? Or did something else happen? We don't know yet. We expect to hear from the local authorities in just a moment. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt is with us and been monitoring the official dispatches from the local authorities. Jonathan, what are you seeing?
Shep, we're now learning that many of those who were injured in this incident have been taken to the Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital. Now, that is the only level 1 trauma center in the immediate area. Obviously, Chicago is well equipped with some very good trauma centers indeed, and if they need to be called in, they will be. But the majority of those injured in our first reporting here have been taken to the Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital. We're still working hard to get any definitive numbers, Shep, on how many people were injured. We're working hard to confirm that reporting from the Daily Herald that several police officers may indeed have been shot too, but this is obviously in the very early stages here. The one piece of news we have had officially from the city of Aurora is that shooter has been apprehended. But as you were just saying, we do not know the actual circumstances of that apprehension. Was he shot and wounded himself? Is he dead? Is he alive? Do they actually have him in physical custody or simply surrounded in that building? There are many questions to be answered, Chet. We're working to get those answers, but as you can imagine, officials have a lot on their plate right now, so it'll be some time before we get all the details. But what we appear to have here is a mass casualty event, and a lot of those injured, as I say, taken to the only level 1 trauma center in the county. That is the Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital. Shep.
Fresh reporting just in from about 4 minutes ago from Mark Rivera, who's a correspondent for ABC7, our network news service affiliate. Mark reports 2 patients taken to Rush Copley Hospital, others to Area Hospital, still waiting on a full count of the injured, but no, there were 4 Aurora police officers injured. So that matches earlier reporting from the Daily Herald newspaper, which is that newspaper of the Chicago suburbs, which was really leading the reporting on this from the very beginning. I've just been informed from our control room that shortly the mayor of Aurora will join us. Mayor Richard Irvin is on scene, and we're expecting him to call in just a moment with an update from the scene. We know that from multiple reporting sources that the 4 officers have been taken to that trauma center.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wait for the mayor to hop on. Again, the latest update in Aurora, Illinois, active shooter situation is over. I should say the shooter's been apprehended. Again, we don't know the nature of the apprehension. I can see 5 ambulances that are still waiting to go ahead and be able to get to the victims. That's just what I'm seeing on camera. That doesn't mean that there aren't more there. But we don't know the number of the casualties. The reports are that 4 officers have been wounded, and we are hearing that it was a coworker, and that the coworker was going up and down the hallway, stalking employees and shooting indiscriminately. We will go ahead and continue our coverage on this coming up in just a couple of minutes. Looks like the SWAT team is now exiting the building, and we will be able to go ahead and hopefully carry the mayor of Aurora, Illinois in just a few moments. I got more coming up on 95.3 MNC.
On your radio at 95.3 FM.
Makes our job easier.
Well, remember when we had that discussion about do you carry even if your employee doesn't let you carry?
Oh, yeah,
and there's a lot
of
people have said, yep, things like this are going to happen. Better be armed.
We're going to go ahead and put him back in the queue.
Go back to the ground shot from WBBM in Aurora, and you can see all of the ambulances lined up. There's a ground shot of that as it's coming into it.
Good camera work, though. Whoever's running those cameras.
Yeah, there's a couple of ABC7 is a really good news outfit too.
Eyewitness. This is from ABC7. There in Chicago, the coworker who he recognized as shooter was currently employed there.
Oh.
The witness says he didn't hear of any threats from his coworker. His coworker.
So, Daywalker, what's
at
going on?
7 o'clock this morning.
Active shooter situation makes our job easier. They just throw it to the Fox News.
Do you have to chip something?
The coworker was in a
this is the Aurora. Are you guys just broadcasting this right now? Is this
No, we're in commercial break right now.
We did that for 5 minutes.
We're waiting for the mayor to come on. What's up?
Are you confident enough with your talking points to start your Z-Bart live reads on Monday?
Yeah.
Talking about interior, exterior detailing and stuff like that.
I've experienced all that. So.
Yeah, we did it during the radiothon.
Yep.
We were talking about it.
So I got a call from John. So the contract was in place to start on the 25th, and I got out of my haircut, and he was calling me, and he's like, "Hey, I want to be on next week. Make it happen." So,
okay.
So it's a little bit outside the process. My goal was to get you and Mark over there. I'm gonna have to take Mark over there tomorrow or on Monday. Like, there's no way around it. Otherwise,
well, and I mean, we also know John. We've worked with John. You asked me on the download. It's fine. You know, it's not like we need to have a first meeting with him or anything like that. It's okay to go over for the new policy. That's cool. But we already know.
Like, you guys have a relationship. The only thing I'm going to add, this is kind of a funny punchline that he and I came up with. When they're doing the interior detailing, they also get rid of all those abandoned New Year's resolutions that are hiding in the cracks of it.
That's funny.
What we have officially is multiple people wounded here.
You looking for birth control? Germ defender.
Some police officers among them and taken to area hospitals. The shooter has been neutralized. We don't know in what way.
He needs to stop saying that. I hate.
Neutralized could mean that he's dead.
Seriously, 90% of these things happen during my show, which means I have to listen to Shepard Smith. Drives me nuts.
The word that got under my skin was when after September 11th happened, and suddenly the word normalcy entered anyone's. We had to find a new state. Like we were going to regain a sense
of normality.
Normalcy.
Yeah.
And I heard them use that word.
So the big thing is that he was currently employed. That's because we all thought.
Well, a witness says that.
Right.
Doesn't mean the witness missed a meeting with the boss.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
listener dropped off 2 of those, man.
Came in like 2 minutes before we went live. It's awesome.
Okay, where are my commercial breaks at? Okay.
We have 2 minutes
All right.
before we come back.
All right.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah. So start Monday.
Being flexible. Yeah, it's going to start Monday.
Is that trade?
What?
Is that trade?
No, trade spots or something else.
Okay. So I mean, okay, but what are we doing? What's pay?
Is
it just trade?
No. You're going to be paid. So you have like a spot rate, and then you get like a $15 talent fee every time you do it as well, in addition to whatever he does for you.
So it's a $15 per read.
Yep.
Okay. Because I'll have to add this. I have to keep track of all this crap.
Yeah,
and we have the worst system in the world to keep track of it. So.
You live streaming a bit?
Yeah, I'm live stream.
These people just listening to us talk shop.
No, it's. Oh yeah, the microphone's on. Yeah, we're talking shop. We're good.
Okay.
You didn't say anything offensive.
No. Hardly do.
Hardly do. Sorry, Casey, about what? What did I do? What did I do, Tracy? What did I do?
And the first real concrete reporting we got out of there came from the suburban newspaper, the Daily Herald, which is reporting that the suspect has been apprehended, which suggests to us that the suspect has been taken into custody. If this reporting is accurate, you know, we heard the locals ask you earlier, would they want to bring this suspect into custody? The answer, according to our specialists on these matters of law enforcement, is absolutely. If they can bring the suspect in, to be able to question that suspect about motive, about whether...
Why would you even ask, is their mission to go in and kill the guy? If they can take him alive, they will.
To the suspect to the degree that it's possible. There are all kinds of unconfirmed...
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. And please put MNC at the beginning of that message. We are awaiting to hear from the mayor. And the mayor of Aurora, Illinois, is supposed to be linking up with Fox News in just a little bit. So the latest information that we have is the shooter has been apprehended. We've got multiple victims. Witnesses say that the shooter was going up and down the hallways, shooting indiscriminately. Latest report we have is that the shooter was an employee of the plant. We don't know if, because early reports were that they were just fired, so we don't know if they were still currently employed, if they had just been fired, if there was not a firing. We don't know. We're still waiting for that. And again, the mayor of Aurora is supposed to be reaching out to Fox News here any minute, and then we'll be able to get the latest information from the mayor. But again, active shooter situation in Aurora, Illinois. 4 officers have been listed as potentially being wounded. We don't have confirmation of any of that. We've got at least 5 ambulances outside. We know that the fire department called for all available ambulances earlier. We know that several witnesses, or not witnesses, but victims have been airlifted to the hospital. We know that they've gone to several different hospitals, including the trauma hospital there nearby. So this is obviously going to be a serious event. They're calling it a mass casualty event, but we don't have any concrete numbers at this point in time. What we can tell you is that the shooter has been apprehended. We don't know the nature of that apprehension. But again, witnesses do say that it was a coworker. One had said earlier that the coworker had been fired. Another said that they were currently employed. So we're still waiting for that. Now, again, anytime you have a situation like this and it's a developing story, it is, of course, going to change several times. So they're now talking about the green laser. So he had a laser sight on his firearm and was using that. But again, we don't have a ton of new information, but little bits here and there are trickling out. And once the mayor hops on with Fox News, we should get a lot more information from that. Let me go back to Shepard Smith, see if he's learned anything new, and then I'll keep perusing and see if I can find any updates on this on the interweb. More coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Can be at this moment. It's a wait and see situation at this point, but we know area hospitals have been extremely busy this afternoon. Jonathan Hunt mentioned one level 1 trauma center in the immediate area, and that hospital taking a number of patients. I mentioned another hospital as well, which had taken 2 patients in this afternoon. We don't know the exact number injured, but the reporting is all coming together now from multiple sources of 4 police officers shot. We don't know if that happened in the, you heard from the witnesses. According to the witnesses, a shooter was going down the aisles inside the plant. Reporter information now on the officer's condition. CBS 2, our network news service affiliate, CBS 2, a reporter on scene is attributing this to his sources on scene, saying the degrees of injuries on the police officers do not seem to be dire. All reported in stable condition. So that's very good news from the CBS 2 reporter on scene. The degree of injuries of the 4 police officers do not seem to be dire, all in stable condition. We do not know about the condition of the civilians. Again, stable is not an actual medical condition. It just means that the situation is under control. A patient could be critical but stable. It sounds, though, like the quote there, injuries don't seem to be dire, is the best information that we've gotten today. The first scanner call of this happened, we've been saying 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, but instead the first call to police of this incident happened at 1:40 p.m. Central Standard Time. So about an hour and 45 minutes ago now, the first call came in 20 to 2 this afternoon, and the fire department asked, that was the report of the fire department asking for as many vehicles to come in as possible. A witness speaking to ABC7 said, I work from home. I noticed a police officer outside my home with his lights on, didn't hear any gunshots, and then saw a couple of workers standing around with their coats. Cold, so he let them in, and they've been holed up inside that home there for quite some time. I've been telling you that Rush Copley Hospital is one that's assisting those involved in the active shooter situation. The hospital is now tweeting that it's received 2 patients who are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. So we know that we have reports of 4 police officers who were shot, with their situation not said to be dire. This just in, the governor has just tweeted, Governor Pritzker says that he is monitoring the shooting in Aurora and encourage all residents to follow the directives of the locals there. New York Times in on the reporting now as well, saying that the gunman opened fire inside this industrial complex, sending scores of law enforcement authorities swarming to the area, forcing schools to keep students inside. Multiple people injured, according to a city spokesman, including police officers. So it's confirmed from a city spokesman now. Aurora Police Department been tweeting on this. The Times reporting, as we have, that it's not clear how many injured, but videos from the local television stations we've been showing you of the scene there. John, they're quoting the local ABC station as well, including this. He saw a gunman running down the aisle with a pistol that had a green laser attached to it. Saw one person who was shot and was, quote, bleeding pretty badly, unquote. Believed there were others who had been shot inside the office there. He said that he and another coworker ran out the back door and heard more shots being fired once he was outside. Again, this is all reporting from the New York Times. Agents from the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives were among those responding to the scene in Aurora, which is a city of about 200,000 people. Let's bring in Jonathan Hunt, who's been monitoring developments. Jonathan, the next thing is a call from the mayor, which we're expecting shortly, and an update from police.
Yeah, and once you start getting those official statements, Shep, it is obviously a clear sign that the moment of crisis, at least, has passed. So that is a good sign. We know that the shooter has been apprehended, as you've been saying quite rightly. We don't know exactly what that means. We assume he has been taken into custody alive. That logic would dictate that they would use the word apprehended if they have taken him alive. Now, as for the shooting of these 4 police officers, we're still waiting for final confirmation on that, but all reporting does seem to point towards several police officers being shot. Again, logic would dictate that they were most likely among the very first officers on scene. We have had no indications as to why any police officers would have been at this Henry Pratt company prior to the shooting, so we can only assume that they were among the first responders. Now, you've talked about 2 people at one of the area hospitals who have non-life-threatening conditions as of now. There are others who have been taken to the Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital. Now, that significantly is a level 1 trauma center, the only level 1 trauma center in the county. So that is clearly where those who were more seriously injured would have been taken. We have not got any updates from hospital officials as to the condition of any of the patients that they have received there, Shep, although we do have some indication that at least one of the police officers who was apparently hurt in this was taken to the Advocate Good Samaritan. But we're waiting for these updates from officials now. And as you can plainly see, as you look at this picture, the level of urgency has come down markedly. You've got first responders and other officials gathering there for what almost looks like a debrief before we get some official statements from City of Aurora officials and others. Shep.
And we're expecting an update shortly. Here's what I've just learned from the reporting of CBS2.
Okay. So we're waiting for the mayor to go ahead and call Fox News. We keep hearing that he's going to be calling, and he's not done that yet. Obviously getting reports on the ground to figure out what's going on. Again, the latest updates, Aurora, Illinois. The 4 officers appear to not have life-threatening injuries at this point in time, so that's good. And again, the report that was cited said that their injuries don't appear to be dire. We don't have any information on the civilians involved. And again, the reports were that the shooter was walking up and down the aisles and shooting people indiscriminately. So as we get more updates on that, and obviously we're waiting for the mayor to go ahead and give the latest updates on there, we'll be able to go ahead and report those facts to you as well. Listener just called in that 31 in front of the toll road exit at Douglas. There's an accident there. So we don't have a direction, but 31 in front of the toll road exit at Douglas. There's an accident there. Give yourself some extra time or get around it if you can. And of course, if you see anything else out there, please let us know at 574-2595-95-3. We'll have more information about what's happening in Aurora coming up on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. MNC News Time is 4:32. Time to check out Masters Heating and Air Conditioning online at mastersheatpool.com. Masters gets there faster.
This is Michiana's breaking news.
We got music because we're not in the swing of things. My bad.
It's stymie. It's taking everything in my willpower to not comment like that on Twitter right now. All these people talking about we need to ban guns, and it's like maybe we should ban people from being fired, and it's just, people are politicizing anything. Anything to stand on the graves and get your political point across.
So he's saying he showed up at work normal time. So between 7 a.m. and 1:40, something happened.
Okay.
So he showed up at 7 a.m.
So he showed up to work for normal.
According to a witness.
9:33 in the Douglas at the toll road entrance. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
But it was a full semi-auto laser. Yeah.
Police are urging anybody there still to remain away from this area. They still have it all blocked off. With all of this police activity.
Senator Durbin, my heart breaks for Aurora.
Sure does.
Suspect apprehended with many people shot. Dozens of police officers still on scene.
Well, it makes our job easier at least.
It does, but it's also it's boring because there's no new information coming out, but you can't leave the story. You know, so it's like once you get into a story this big, like sometimes when something breaks and you get nothing, there's zero, you can get away from it and then come back. And I started to do that, but when we started getting a trickle. And once you get a trickle, you're stuck with it. You're not going to get away from the story because there's always going to be new things coming out. But a lot of it is going to be relatively minor, and it's not going to really affect the story.
That's who the guys in the jackets are, the visibility jackets are.
Oh, the fire department?
It was like, why are the... I was like, oh, wait, they have on fire helmets.
The fire department got there quick. The fire department was there almost right after SWAT.
That's their job. Probably called 911, said active shooter.
Probably.
Which means fire department probably got called out in case there was...
Those ambulances are still lined up, too. They're, I don't know. I haven't seen anybody loaded in.
They're probably trying to stabilize if there's anything.
Shooter is no longer a threat to the area. Continued police presence will remain as investigation continues. Parents, please contact your local school districts for a dismissal plan. And from the Aurora Police media outlets, press conference is forthcoming. Location and time to follow.
Okay, so they've announced there will be a press conference, not when or where.
4:32 Eastern time, so 3:32 Central, just a couple of minutes ago. We're expecting a police news conference in just a moment. Well, a police news conference
just will be curating that too, I assume.
And time to follow. And here at Fox News, we're waiting.
If it happens when we're on the air, yeah.
That Mayor Richard Irvin would be able to do that. This is the location of Aurora. This is a manufacturing facility, but it's a town of about 200,000. As you can see to the west, sort of southwest.
It's a suburb of Chicago. Jesus.
And, you know,
suburb of Chicago.
Sort of thing that the locals.
I lived in Aurora, and they worked. My mom worked in Chicago. It's like a half-hour drive.
And employees there, but you know, once the authorities get in, they'll be able to give us the specifics on all of this.
Shepard Smith is just making a fool of himself right now.
It turns out to be not entirely accurate. I mean, put yourself in their position. As one witness put it, you're there on the assembly line, you're manufacturing parts, and all of a sudden one of your coworkers whom you recognize, as he described it.
On other news, Annie Aurora, who is a verified Twitter, looks like some kind of a model, she's getting a lot of who to follow recommendations now because her name is Aurora. So, been good for her career, I guess.
School district is able to lift the lockdown. That's a good sign. It's good news.
I mean, there's no threat, so I mean, there's
good news. I was a kid, and I was in lockdown, and then just sitting in the room for because I've been there. I've been in soft lockdowns where we just had to sit there for hours.
Yeah.
And hard lockdowns where we just had to sit there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, Mike.
SWAT's leaving.
Yeah, SWAT's out of there.
Here's the other one.
And another of these big rescue vehicles, a police rescue vehicle, making its way through there. And the latest from
police rescue vehicle.
That they will be offering.
That's what he's calling the armored truck.
Oh, God.
Live and work in this area. People with students who are in area schools. We talked a little while ago with a worker at a daycare center a mile or so away who somehow said she heard shots. Maybe she was wrong about how far away she was, or maybe she heard something else. You never know. But certainly they were taking care of the kids there at the daycare center. With one parent of one of the children at the daycare center who said that she had a relative who worked at the plant who was obviously very concerned about the situation. Here's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for a news conference at the hospital, Mercy Medical Center. We're waiting for a promised news conference from Aurora Police. And while we waited for those, we're going to sneak in a quick commercial break. This is breaking news coverage on Fox News.
Yeah, there's like all of a sudden the trickle has stopped. Like the moment we heard that there was going to be the mayor, there's like nothing. There's like no new information.
Perfect time, too. We're about to come out in about a minute 20, minute 10.
Okay.
3277. Hi, my name is Dave Hendrickson. I've been selling new cars at
Oh,
Lock Monday Motors for over
unrelated,
30 years. And I'm
but,
Greg Slagle. I've been selling pre-owned vehicles at Lock Monday Motors for 16 years. Greg and I have been working together a long time. And every year there's a lot of excitement.
That's rolling. Is upset because Dwayne Miller changed his phone number.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's funny.
All makes and models of pre-owned vehicles.
Came in about 5-6 minutes ago.
That's funny.
I didn't know. It's like,
I didn't know he changed his number.
yeah, his number changed, and it's annoying.
He probably got sick and tired of everybody calling his number and griping about the commercial.
It's not as catchy anymore. This number.
That's why so many of us have been here for so long and have customers that come
Yeah, I didn't memorize the number beforehand. But
right now at LockMondayMotors.com. I'm Dave Anderson. And I'm Greg Slagle. Visit Lock Monday Motors in Elkhart, a tradition of caring since 1954.
all right, here we go.
Not at you. News Talk 95.3.
Don't forget that it's the accident.
Casey
Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. That is 2595-953. I do want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle. Of course, if you mention me, you get half off your range time. You get 10% off the store and listener-exclusive firearms, listener-exclusive deals on firearms. Again, just by mentioning me when you go out there. And do have some reports. 933 in Douglas at the toll road entrance there. There's an accident which is causing some slowdowns, some backup. So avoid that if you can. And the latest information that we have on Aurora, we're still waiting for the mayor. They did announce that there will be a press conference. They just haven't told us when or where that's going to happen. But you can tell you that the school lockdowns have been lifted. The active shooter has been taken into custody. 4 officers have been wounded. Their injuries do not appear to be too serious. That was the latest report that we had, thank God. We don't have any information on the civilians involved in all of this. The witnesses that have contacted the media have said it was a co-worker. One witness said that they were fired. Another witness said that they were currently employed, so we don't know which one of those is accurate. They were perusing down the aisles there, and they were shooting indiscriminately into their coworkers when obviously authorities were called out there, and pretty much everybody responded. Fire department got there, the police department got there, marshals, ATF, the FBI, everybody got out there. The SWAT team just left, so we watched the SWAT team drive away. The shooter again is apprehended. We don't know the condition of the shooter. So officially the scene is listed as secured now, so they're not looking for anybody else. This is pretty much over. Now, as we look at the ambulance situation, we haven't really seen anybody did one of the ambulances leave? Did you see anybody get loaded into it or no? Okay, so one of the ambulances is left. And again, we don't know the severity of it. We do know that 2 of the victims who went to one of the hospitals are minor injuries. We know that other people went to a hospital that has a level 1 trauma unit. So that's where they treat serious injuries, obviously. And we know that some of the victims went there. Other than that, we don't really have a ton. So we keep getting little trickles here and there. All of the officers are listed in stable condition, which is great. But again, we don't know the nature of the injuries to the civilians or what is happening there. We also know that a couple of them were airlifted, which usually means there were serious injuries. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to Dakari Turner. I don't know if that's the mayor or not. We're going to go to Fox News.
Rifles are raised. That means they are on high alert. The rifles are down as we look around. The actual scene where everything's taking place is quite a ways down that way. I'd say it's probably about a half mile to 3/4 of a mile down the road here. Right now we're standing at the corner here, just again trying to gather facts about everything that's happened. But as you can see, just a really large response. Multiple police agencies here from the surrounding suburbs. We've also been told that we will get official word as to exactly what's happening when Aurora police are going to be holding a press conference. We're told that'll take place in about 90 minutes or so. That's where we should be able to get some confirmed facts and figures as far as that have been injured. If there are any further injuries or fatalities, perhaps, we hope that has not happened. But with these kind of situations, as the information is fast coming, those developments continue. But again, as you can see over my shoulder here, just a very massive response. There are a lot of people standing around. Neighbors have been coming up to us, just asking us what's going on as we continue to try to gather information. This is a neighborhood area. There are homes, people telling.
Seems like we have lost a car's live shot.
Dakari Turner, who is a local reporter for our local owned and operated station, Fox News Chicago, Fox 32 there. First reports live from on the ground. And you heard Dakari say that the local police are expected to hold a news conference. Our best information is 5 o'clock Central Time, which would be about an hour and 15 minutes from now. So that's when we'll get the first official stand-up reporting. But we're also waiting for.
Yeah, so we don't really know when that's going to happen. Everybody's guessing at this point on when the press conference is going to happen. There is nothing official. Looking at all of the official accounts here on social media, and there just isn't anything official. So what we do know, again, is that everything has been secured. The scene is listed as secured. Everybody who needs to be taken care of is being treated and taken care of. Shooter has been apprehended. There was a report, okay, we heard Shepard Smith say the word neutralized, but there was a report that officials told local reporters that the shooter was neutralized. So we just knew that the shooter had been apprehended. Now, apprehended could mean that they have been killed by law enforcement. Apprehended could mean suicide. They could mean injured, could mean healthy and in custody. So they use the apprehended word as an overall sort of a descriptor of, hey, we've got them in custody. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're okay or that they're not okay. So we don't have the injuries that the shooters sustained, if any. And again, we don't know about the civilians. What we do know is we know that at least 2 civilians are okay. And we do know that the officers involved, 4 of the officers who are wounded, we know that they're okay. We just don't know the nature of their injuries beyond that. So as soon as the press conference happens, of course, we'll try and carry it. But the mayor, obviously getting an update on the situation on the ground, has been delayed in getting that to everybody, which is to be expected. And they did announce that there will be a press conference coming soon. No official word yet. The guess right now is around 5 o'clock, but that is not official. 574-2595, 95.3. That's 2595953. I do want to tell you about Data Bunker. So with Data Bunker, if you have vital documents, and we all do, if there's some kind of a natural disaster, or your house burns down, or maybe there's a tornado or an earthquake, a fire, any of those things, all of those critical documents that you need to rebuild your life and to get aid, those are likely going to be lost. Most of us keep those as paper documents. Sometimes we have backups on a disk, that sort of thing. All of those things can be lost and destroyed in some kind of a disaster. The Data Bunker will survive all of those scenarios. So then you can go ahead and grab your Data Bunker, plug it into a computer. All of your critical files are going to be there. And then you can go ahead and apply for all of your assistance with FEMA or any other agency that might require you prove who you are. All of that stuff is going to be there. Your birth records, kids' birth records, marriage certificates, all of that stuff can be protected when you digitize them with a Data Bunker. It is a black box, okay? Just like you see in trains and planes, it is a black box that will survive those disasters. It is made in Elkhart. It is made with clean electronics, and it is TSA approved for travel. So if you are a business that has some kind of intellectual property that you don't want to email to somebody or put in an online storage drive like a cloud device or anything like that, you don't have to worry about somebody hacking it, stealing it, or compromising it in any way, shape, or form. You just simply put the Data Bunker in your briefcase, go through TSA, everything's going to be fine. You get on the plane and you fly this technology there. You just plug right in. Go to databunker1.com. That's databunker and the number 1.com. Use coupon code Casey, CASEY. Save yourself some money on this thing. Get a Data Bunker. This is the best thing that you can do for yourself to keep your critical documents and records organized and safe from any disasters. We've got more coming up on this and much more on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Let's break. Core horn? Okay. Yep, Aurora is where Wayne's World is. I lived there as a kid.
Hey, buddy, why don't you move out of his way so he can get out of there?
Nah. The signal breaking up again there, and the timing is good because we have some breaking news. This just in, the city spokesman for Associated Press, a city spokesman for the city of Aurora now confirms to Associated Press 4 police officers were wounded in the shooting in Aurora, Illinois. This matches the reporting first of the Daily Herald newspaper, that's the first newspaper there in Chicago, and then of other local television stations and other media. A city spokesman now confirms 4 police officers were wounded in the shooting. But the good news comes to us from another of the, maybe the same city spokesman, who told us just a short time ago, Blake Muhammad, that the officers are all in stable condition.
It's not breaking news if you tell us the same stuff that we already know. Hey. Shepard Smith is giving me a headache.
Someone's dead.
What?
Someone's dead. The coroner's report. Somebody's dead.
Yeah, if the coroner is going to the scene, yeah, there's a fatality.
Larry, I want to show you someplace to water. Now we're going to go through this duct, take it right there, remain unconfirmed by police. Wow, what are those Santa Ana winds? I don't know, but if it stays warm like this, we can last all winter.
Be comfortable this winter isn't impossible. Less than $100 and your first will get top shape in time for winter. Look over Eckert has a plan that will make you comfortable.
I will say that they're, you know, I don't know if this is going to be good or bad. So some of the ambulances have left.
They aren't like
and we haven't seen anybody being taken to the ambulances, and everybody is set up to be able to see that. So you would assume that they would be showing it if they were loading people into the ambulances and leaving. And since the ambulances are leaving, rather than sticking around, even though the coroner is there, perhaps the fatalities are lower than we were initially expecting them to be. So we'll see. But we do have fatality. But again, the fatality could be the shooter, could be coworkers as well. We don't know yet. And I've still got nothing from the city of Aurora on an official announcement of anything. So it's the latest thing that they have is that the shooter has been apprehended. That was the latest thing the city of Aurora sent out.
I can tell you there's nothing better than Noxatril. I recommend this super pill to men everywhere. It will transform your life in the bedroom once and for all. Strong, powerful results that increase your blood flow fast. No prescription, no side effects.
But again, it's one of those things where the story is developing like this, and you can't get away from it. So I know that some people are probably thinking, okay, we're hearing the same stuff. Yes, you're right. But you can't break away from covering it.
Yeah, so. Kind of like, oh, hold. You gotta confirm why. And it's like 4 officers. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's old news.
Yeah. It doesn't help that we've been waiting for mayor to talk to everybody for 20 minutes either. So we're all waiting for the mayor, and then the moment you go away, of course, the mayor's going to talk, and then you have to go back to it, and then it sounds weird.
We're probably waiting. We might be waiting to see what the coroner report.
It very well could be. He might just be saying, I'm not going to talk to the press. I'm going to wait for the press conference. That's possible.
I would be like,
I was surprised that they were saying that he was going to call them. That seemed weird.
He might have called the local affiliate.
Maybe.
4-section wood stunning entry systems, detailed siding, all with the goal of improving energy savings and quality of life for homes like yours. Buy 6 windows, get 3 free, and no payments for 12 months.
We keep you updated all night long with the Lars Larson Show. Tune in weeknights 9 till midnight on Good Song 95.3 Michiana's News Channel. Your favorite weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. Once again, I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595. 95.3. Depending on the situation in the 5 o'clock hour, I might start taking phone calls and open this up. We're still waiting for a press conference, and we had heard that the mayor of Aurora was going to contact Fox News. we think that the mayor has abandoned that in favor of the press conference. The guess is around 5-ish. We don't know. We don't have any confirmation of that. They've just announced that there will be a press conference coming soon, just not exactly when. 5:30 hours. Okay, so 4:30 local time is when police will give an update. So that'll be 5:30 our time. So we're going to be waiting for a while to get the official update on this. Now, we do know that the coroner has arrived on scene, which usually means there's a fatality. We don't know who the fatalities are. We don't know if they're the shooter or their coworkers or both. We have seen some of the ambulances pull away and leave. The cameras did not seem to pick up anybody being loaded into them. So the logic behind that is that perhaps there isn't anybody to load into the ambulances, which could be a good thing. You would assume that they would be hanging out with the coroner, but perhaps there's more injuries than fatalities, and there won't be a large loss of life here. That is certainly the hope, but we don't have any official word here. I know that a lot of the information that we're giving you is pretty much the same information that you have been hearing. We know that a lot of you are just tuning in for the first time and are just hearing all of these details, and we appreciate you sticking with us. It's not a story that you can get away from. It's breaking news, and if we move away from it, we'll almost immediately and we'll have to come back to it. And it just, we have to stick with it. You have to cover it. We do know that the 4 officers that were involved and were wounded, that they are okay. The reports are all that they're all in stable condition and that their injuries do not appear to be life-threatening. So that is great news. We have not heard anything about any civilians other than the 2 that are listed in stable condition at one of the hospitals. That's all we have. What we can tell you is that earlier, we have confirmation from coworkers that it was, in fact, a coworker who was conducting the shooting. We don't know the reason for the shooting. One person said that they were fired. Another person said they were currently employed. We don't have any confirmation that this particular employee had been fired. We did hear from somebody else who is not an employee of the plant say that they thought that there was going to be a round of layoffs happening. So that was interesting. Now, that was somebody who works a mile away. And when they called the local, well, they called Shepard Smith, I think. They were on with Shepard Smith, who seemed shocked that you can hear a gunshot from a mile away because he's a firearms expert. So he seemed, again, really stunned by that. But she had said, we had heard that there was going to be some layoffs today, and then this happened. But we don't have confirmation that it was one of the employees that was laid off. We do have confirmation from several witnesses that it was a coworker that was conducting the shooting. And, we don't need to focus on the accessories that were on the handguns. So people have pointed out there's a green laser sight on there. It really doesn't mean anything. But I guess if you focus on the firearms involved, if that is important to the political debate, which is absolutely consuming Twitter right now with people who are standing on the graves of people in order to go ahead and make a political point, it was a handgun. That was the report that we had. So no big bad AR-15s or anything like that have been reported at this point in time. But again, early reports on this stuff almost always changes. And we've already had some changes to this. But at this point in time, there really isn't much that we know beyond at least 2 of the victims are okay. 4 of the police officers who were injured are okay. The shooter has been apprehended. One report had the shooter being neutralized. Okay, we don't know which one is which. And apprehended could mean that the shooter is dead. Just means that they're in custody. The coroner is now on scene, which means that we've likely got some fatalities. We don't know if the fatalities are just the shooter, if it's the shooter and others, or if the shooter is a part of it at all. We're not really sure. We don't have any police officers that have been killed at this point. SWAT team has left. The school lockdowns have been lifted. And so there's, the situation is now considered secure. The city of Aurora is not issuing any new updates beyond the shooter had been apprehended. That was 56 minutes ago. And they have issued absolutely no additional tweets since then. So we're hearing that the press conference will happen at 5:30. Hopefully that starts on time. Sometimes they don't. Obviously, this is a developing situation still, trying to get all of the facts together, trying to get everybody in one place. There was a lot of agencies that responded to this. You had local police, you had the marshal's office, the FBI, the ATF was there early too. That was interesting. You also had the fire department involved in all of that. So there was a lot of agencies. You assume that they're going to bring in the agencies, spokespeople who were involved in all of this, and then they'll probably get some medical personnel in to evaluate what the injuries were and how they're going to be proceeding with the investigation. No motive at this point in time, no name of the shooter at this point in time, and we don't have any total casualty numbers at this point in time. And so this has been going on for, it seems like an hour and a half, and roughly almost 2 hours, not quite 2 hours, but about an hour and a half. And we have not gotten any whispers of casualty numbers. Usually by now there's an estimate of total casualties. We don't have any of that right now. So we're still just waiting for the official updates on that, which we're told will happen around 5:30. If you want to call and comment about it, I'm going to open up the phone lines for the 5 o'clock hour until we have a press conference to carry, and then we'll go away from phone calls, and we will then continue to discuss that. So if we want to do a little open line stuff, you want to call about this, feel free to do so right now. We'll take those calls in just a couple of minutes right here on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
So we're doing open lines or just calls about this?
Yeah, I'll do, until I have new information, there's no reason to shut it down at this point. So if people want to do an open line thing, we'll discuss it, but then we'll go back to this. Yes, no problem.
I just wanted clarification.
Yeah. Once we know more, we'll be able to do it. But if we're not going to get any new information until 5:30, there's no sense in repeating the same stuff for half an hour.
Well,
Reuters is okay. Reuters is saying that they were arrested. All right.
So the 5 is airing, which means they're probably going to cut the 5 off at 5:30.
No, they'll go through with coverage. They do live coverage too. So now the shooter is no longer a threat, possibly killed. This is why you don't grab onto the early reports.
Is that everything is safe and that there were 4 officers in there. That's all we know.
That's basically it. Yeah, we don't have much beyond that. All right, I'm going to reset the YouTube chat widget. Bear with me.
Central Time.
People, it's an invasion. We have an invasion of drugs and criminals coming into our country.
The president says he believes the national emergency will withstand legal challenges. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer issued a joint statement saying the president is not above the law. The Congress cannot let the president shred the Constitution.
All right, there you go. Yeah, it is Yahoo. Exactly. Yahoo News is not the best news in the world.
They probably heard apprehended and went, arrested.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's entirely possible. President Trump sent out a text. We have an invasion. We are building the wall to stop it.
Michiana's news channel on 95.3 FM, the 95.3 MNC skill on Alexa, and 95.3MNC.com.
I'm Johnson, the MNC News Center. One of our top stories this afternoon: the juveniles in custody in Elkhart County after allegedly making a threat against Concord High School on social media.
The threat of a potentially violent incident was allegedly posted by a student on a personal account Thursday night. School administrators saw the post and got the authorities involved. After investigating, Concord Community Schools police determined there was no credible threat. Still, they arrested the student. The threat is believed to be an isolated incident, and classes continued as usual.
That's 95.3 MNC's Carly Luca reporting. A man named Corey Hicks is wanted for non-compliance violations of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office sex and violent offender registry. He's being sought on a modified registration felony. He's also wanted by the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Hicks has also gone by the name Cornwall. Anybody with information on the whereabouts of Corey D. Hicks is asked to contact the LaPorte County Sheriff. And some museums in the area have special events.
So he's just now going over all the information that we already know.
Yeah.
History Museum tried free admission for kids on Monday. The Studemaker National Museum will be giving free admission to children 17 and under who can take advantage of the President's Day holiday to look at the largest collection of presidential carriages. Weather served up by the Prime
Probably a lot of parents showing up.
I'm sure.
Tremendous service of great people is at the Prime Table today.
That is a lot of response.
It's
a large response.
It was hugely quick. And the ATF was on the ground, like, with local law enforcement. And
it's very interesting. Like, what are they doing at that facility?
In Aurora, too. It's like...
I want to know what's going on in that facility if the ATF, FBI, the marshals all showed up.
Yeah, it's
That's a
something.
massive response. That's also like who has jurisdiction for this event.
Right.
Is it first come, first serve?
I mean, you assume that local law enforcement has it with federal support, but so Henry Pratt does like potable water, wastewater parts, things like that. They do some power generation parts and stuff too. But they're huge though.
Right.
They are an
That's what they
absolute
do on the surface. Casey.
On the surface, yes.
What are they doing?
Well, power generation and things like that. I mean, that could be government contract stuff. They're huge. Yes, Speed. I'm almost all caught up on the Grand Tour. I think I'm one episode down. It's been a good season, really good season actually. I was pleased to see them all like the muscle cars in episode 1, because usually it's only one guy that likes the muscle cars and the others bitch about it. So that was nice that they appreciated the advances that have happened with the muscle cars. So that was good. The truck episode, I was a little disappointed that they didn't have a real truck. But
what was the truck they used?
So they used a Ford Ranger, but it's not the Ford Ranger that is available in the US anymore.
Okay.
That one makes sense, okay? But then they had a Mercedes, like Mercedes makes a pickup, which is basically a repurposed Nissan, but it looks like an old Nissan. Like it looks like it's the Nissan Frontier platform. And then, what was the other one? Volkswagen. And a Volkswagen. And they just, I don't know. They're crap.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And they all got through with the test, and they all said, yeah, if we were going to buy one, it would be, well, two of the guys said it would be the Ford anyway.
Yeah.
And for the 5th year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage
Pro
service.
Joe asking the right
Another way we can
Yeah, they do. But that Ranger is supposed to be coming to the U.S. here this next year. So you assume that they're going to ramp up production in the U.S. instead of having it made in South Africa, but we'll see.
All right, here we go.
Talk radio that's talk to you, not at you. Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, this news channel.
Trucks that Somali pirates prefer?
What's that? Oh, Somali Pirates? Yeah. Exactly. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So to be perfectly honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, we're still going to do open lines at this point because there's no new information. And we're not going to get any new information until they have the press conference around 5:30. So why don't we plan on half an hour on focusing on some other stuff, and then we'll go to the press conference in Aurora, Illinois, and then we'll get the latest information that we have there. We do not have any additional information beyond 2 of the victims are okay, the civilians. All 4 officers that were injured are okay. The shooter has been apprehended, but we don't know the condition of the shooter. We do know that the coroner has arrived, which usually means that there is at least one fatality. So that's it. I mean, that's really it. We've had no additional information for about 50 minutes at this point in time. It's kind of the same stuff being recycled over and over again. So as soon as we get the press conference coming in, or there is a leak of some kind of what has happened, then we will go ahead and break in. But until then, we might as well move on with some of the other stuff that is out there, because there is a lot to talk about. And if you want to call 574-2595-95.3, if you do want to call, you can go ahead and do that right now. Do we want to do the taste test? You want to torture ourselves with the taste test? Let's go ahead and do this.
Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way.
You know what?
We had this planned.
Why don't you talk about it and I'll get your camera?
Okay.
How about that?
So, what we have here, big shout out to Carl Stutzman on Froggy 102.7 who posted these. And I thought,
I didn't say you could promote other radio stations.
Whatever. So I saw these and I was like, hey, this would be a good idea for taste test. So what we have here are the new sweet and fiery fruit gushers. That a sweet treat that packs some heat. So they come in 3 flavors: the hot mango, fiery peach, and spicy watermelon. And they don't look good. I am not excited about this, but I thought, hey, it'd be a good idea to do these. So here we are. They look like wait a minute. Oh no, they come in what look like normal gusher packages. So if you want to,
what is a normal gusher package?
Look like this.
I'm not looking forward to this at all.
Yellow normal package. So if you want to ruin one of your friends' day, I guess you could do this.
This sounds horrible. So does each pack have like the multi flavors that we're dealing with?
We're gonna hope so.
Give me. All right, there we go.
Hope so. And if not, we'll just open all of them and try to find them.
First of all, Gushers is a national treasure. Okay, if you've never had Gushers, they are a national treasure. I was watching this. So it's really not a meme. It was like a social media post of this guy who's ready to end his relationship. He's like, what it means to actually like move in with your girlfriend. Oh, yeah, I bought a brand new thing of Gushers, which were like, what, 12?
Like a 12 pack.
12 pack, and there's like 4 left or something like that. He's like, that's not okay.
Okay, so I have the spicy watermelon and fiery peach ones. Do you have a green one in there? No, like open the bag and look inside of it. That's what I know.
I do have a green one.
Yeah.
I've got several, actually.
Yay, good. Then we have all the flavors. Do you have the red and orange ones?
I've got red, I've got orange, I've got green.
So I'm going to take this green one here that looks disgusting.
You washed your hands, right?
Yes,
I'm like walking around with like communist Joe butt on my...
Says the guy who's still trying to recover from pneumonia.
Yeah, but I'm not contagious anymore. Fingers crossed.
Okay, so which one do you want to try first, Casey?
Let's go with orange because orange is terrible.
The fiery peach?
Fiery peach. Oh, great. So it's peach. All right. Tastes like peach. With a little heat on the back end.
Not even.
It's like Midwestern heat.
Watermelon?
Okay. Tastes good. Which one's watermelon? Is that the reddish one?
Yeah.
All right.
The spicy
There's only
watermelon.
3 flavors, right?
Yes.
Okay. Spicy watermelon. There's that. Those are good.
Yeah.
Of course, watermelon's good. Okay.
This is disappointing, man.
I was expecting these to be really gross.
Yeah.
Why did Carl actually try these, or did Carl just complain about them?
I don't know. It looked like they were in his cart, but I have no idea if he actually bought them.
He does whine a lot, so it's entirely possible that he did not actually have them and was just complaining. All right. Try the green ones. There's like no flavor on that one.
Well.
Cool. Disappointment. Great.
That was Taste Test, everybody.
Way to go, Communist Joe. He put this one together. I didn't do it.
Hey, but I looked and I tried. Okay. I put effort in. I didn't say I put a lot of effort in.
Okay. They're good. There's a little bit of what I would call like a pepper heat on the back.
But it's not
really not.
You wouldn't notice if you didn't know what you were doing.
No, you wouldn't. Let's see if I can accurately convey what a gusher is on camera. I don't know. It's like you can kind of see that on camera.
They are a wonderful treat.
So I'm going to squeeze it out a little bit. And a gusher it's a gummy candy that has a liquid center.
It's awesome.
Again, a national treasure. These things are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We bought, we'd heard about them. We bought some for the girls, and I don't think I let the girls have any. I honestly don't know that my daughter took any to school.
They are
because they are super good.
They are sweet, but they are not fiery.
I don't remember. My wife and I, she bought one of the other sweet and fiery things that they have out there.
Yeah, because they have Skittles and Starburst.
The Skittles. Okay, so she had the Skittles, and the Skittles have considerably more heat than this. Like the Skittles, you notice it, and if you don't like spicy food, you're really not going to like it. But this is just fine. Nothing wrong. They're good. I mean, they're tasty. I would recommend that you buy them.
You're like, hey,
I was expecting these to be god awful.
It's the aftertaste that has any spice that if
and really it's kind of like you just have a little bit of pepper going down.
Like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
I don't even know if I would say that.
Yeah,
but
that
it's
why.
You notice that something's there. It's really not anything else.
It's a gusher. Everybody.
It's equivalent to like
if they
cinnamon.
don't have normal gushers, just buy these and you won't really notice.
Yeah, but otherwise get normal gushers because they're still better.
True.
But, well, now I have a sad. Cool. You know what else is disappointing? Finding out that your tax return is smaller than it was supposed to be, and then complaining about it. And then have the news media pick up on the story as that being some kind of proof that you paid more in taxes because your tax return this year is smaller than your tax return last year, not realizing that you have more money going into your paycheck every single month. See, this is the thing. When you have stuff that is right in front of you, you notice it. So if there's a drastic change from one paycheck to the other, that's noticeable. But after you've had it for 11 months, you start to notice it less. You start to realize that you have more money coming back into your paycheck because now it's been happening for several months in a row. And that's what's been happening with people. But there are those who use their taxes as a way to save, right? So they like having the windfall tax return at the end of the year. They don't want to keep their money per paycheck, right? They would like to be able to put more taxes in and then get that windfall because that's how they fund their vacation or their big purchase for the year, stuff like that, which I can appreciate. So how do you do that? How do you plan your taxes to be able to go ahead and either have maximum paycheck or maximum return? You need a tax professional from Core and Financial Group to do that. That's what you need. They will be able to take a look at your withholdings. That's how much taxes they withhold from your check, in case you don't know. And they'll be able to go ahead and say, all right, if you want to have the big check at the end of the year, we can do this and this. If you want to maximize how much you take home every paycheck, we'll have to do this. And they can help you plan that out. Then they can help you plan out your 401k and your 403bs, your other investments, and get your retirement on track, your life insurance, your health insurance, all of that stuff. That's what Core and Financial Group does. They're your one-stop shop for all of your financial planning needs, where all of your financial planners, all of those areas of financial planning, they are under the same roof and they meet together and talk about your account. Sometimes you might have an investment person over here, and you might have your insurance person over here. They never talk to each other, right? So now you've got everybody under one roof talking about you and your total financial picture, and they're all on the same page, and you're informed. Corehorn Financial Group, corehorn.com. That's Korhorn. Make sure you let them know that I sent you. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
If you eat a bunch of them at one time, you get...
Monkey what?
If you eat like 3 of them and pop them in your mouth at the same time, it gets slightly hotter. But again, it's like...
Ooh, I got a big old pop on that one.
Hey, I'm just like... I just rather have actual gushers. These don't have any...
Yeah, better get the extra sweet on it. Oh well.
Also, why only 3 flavors? Don't the normal gushers have like 5?
I think so. We could walk around and give those to 2-year-olds though. They might have a different reaction. It was disappointing. It was a good try though.
It was a taste test.
It was a taste test.
That is our job as the taste testers. We're supposed to be like, hey, are these actually what they are or not? Well,
this is where, like, because people think that I
hey, you want to try some
over embellish when I don't like something.
Not even that bad, man.
I really don't.
I just had like a whole bag without even noticing.
There's seriously no heat on these things, dude. It's basically gushers with a tingle in your tongue.
I'll let my kids try them.
Well, here,
I'm gonna lean on this whole low carb thing I've been did.
Okay.
There you go. How many kids you got?
I've never been a big fan of gushers.
You don't like gushers? Oh man.
I do not like gushers. Have you ever had gushers? Here, this is the perfect time for you to try gushers.
No, I'm here.
Give me the whole box. We can put it in the neutral area out there.
I had a buddy of mine who called and he's like, is a shooting in Chicago even really news? Like, this one is kind of a
Only because it became news.
It's like breaking news.
You know, it's like when it was first being reported, we're watching, keeping an eye on it, you know, just in case it converts over. The moment you get news that there might be mass casualties, then yeah, you have to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's and it got to the point where I was like, okay, there's no information coming out. We'll come back to it, and then new things kept coming out.
He looks like that's the guy who got attacked.
Yeah.
Doesn't even look like he's been hurt.
No, he has like one little tiny scrape.
Barely.
Yeah.
And I said to my friend, I was like, yeah, I get it. You know, shooting in Chicago. In other news, the sky is blue.
Right.
You know, like, but certainly this is.
But if I didn't cover it, I would have had my ass handed to me in 14 different ways. So it's like,
I totally get it.
totally get why people are like, it's Chicago. What's the big deal?
I'll let him try it. Is it supposed to be spicy? Is that the
They're
point?
supposed to be.
It's supposed to have like heat on it, but yeah.
No gelatin in them.
I'll make sure I taste one of them.
But
Whichever
they
one
only
my
have
kids
21
will-
carbs, man.
See, they're low carb.
Serving.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, brother. Have a good weekend, man. See ya. All right, so the agent has been informed that we are making an offer on the house, and all I have to do is sign it. Cool.
You're like, scan it in and send me an email. I'll sign it right now.
Chris's Craft Corner on MNC.
My dad did.
Are you overpaying Uncle
My dad got a job.
Will you pay more
And
taxes
so they just sent him
than
the
necessary
contract.
Surveys show that
And he's
most
like, here,
American
you
adults
just
get an F in
sign it,
understanding
scan it in, send it back.
basics. And while
And that's what he did.
investors are
And that's
concerned
how
about
he.
rising taxes,
That's how he got it.
anything about
Okay.
it. Casey Wade, certified financial planner
Send it
practitioner.
now.
When I got my start as a financial advisor, I was really just a trained salesperson. But I soon realized there aren't many guarantees in the financial world, and selling another financial product added little value to my client's bottom line. The only guarantees you're going to get in life are death and taxes, so why not start planning around the one you can control? Call Howard
Well.
Bailey today and see how the new tax laws can benefit your bottom
T-minus
line.
10
These tax
minutes.
planning opportunities are only expected to last for a limited
10
time.
minutes
So call
till the press conference.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
planning before it's too late. 866-482-9559. 866
All right, well, hopefully we will have the offer accepted and sign this bad boy, and hopefully the maturation of my funds only being 30 days will be good enough. Sometimes it has to be 60 days, but they said that we've been getting a lot of approvals in 30. So,
If you're listening to this radio station, you've probably heard a compelling radio ad.
like, I don't know why it really makes a difference, but
Men constantly reach out and ask me, does this Noxatril really
seems a
work,
little
or
silly
is
to
it
me.
just another scam product? I can tell you, there's nothing better than Noxatril. I recommend this super pill to men everywhere. It will transform your life in the bedroom once and for all. Strong, powerful results that increase your blood flow fast. No prescription, no side effects. Just imagine Viagra on steroids. So call Noxatril now and take advantage of its free bottle offer.
my taste test was Monterey for breakfast. Ding, ding, ding. Nice. Nicely done.
800-551-4182. That's 800-551-4182. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now. 800-551.
I wonder if something is wrong with the Niles repeater. All three MNC HD feeds are down. I don't know.
Shouldn't be among them. Alivo
Still online,
Seed from BASF is the only
Discord.
product that offers effective protection
Yeah.
against both SDS and nematodes.
Or Alexa.
I have never listened to the HD feeds of the station.
Profit potential
I
and
don't
harvest.
know how to
So worry
access
about
the
weather.
HD
Don't worry about SDS or nematodes.
Yeah,
I also don't really listen to the station.
You have to have like a special receiver to get the HD channel, so
Grow smart with BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Not really, no. To be honest with you, Mark. Everyone sweat. I wonder what you're dreaming from. Not creepy.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Greatest song ever written, with one of the covers of that song. It's not the original song, but it's a great cover. Really good tribute to Where's My Mind by the Pixies. I forget exactly who did this cover, though. I'm drawing a blank on it. All right, 574-25-95, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. So somebody did send us a text, and we've kind of commented on this too as we await the press conference in Aurora, Illinois. But again, we'll talk about some other stuff. I'll go over this study here about voter ID laws. And somebody says, all of those agencies in the same proximity sounds like collusion to me. So Aurora is a suburb of Chicago, right? So a lot of people live in Aurora but commute to Chicago. That's what happened when I was a kid. I lived in Aurora, and we had family commute into Chicago. I had one of I think the greatest teacher I've ever had was in Aurora. And this teacher actually gave me as a going away present, the starting lineup figures that they have now. Well, back then they were just coming out. She gave me a Jim McMahon starting lineup. Jim McMahon was my hero as a kid. And I got that. I still have that guy to this day. Didn't take care of him though, because I was a kid. Wish I did. If I would have taken care of him, he worth a lot of money, but I didn't take care of him. So I always had really fond memories of Aurora, Illinois. Really liked Aurora. And, as we basically had kind of like a blackout of new information about, I don't know, an hour ago. Really nothing new. We're expecting a press conference at 5:30. We'll go ahead and carry that if it happens on time, obviously. But again, active shooting situation in Aurora, it's done. It's over with. Shooter has been apprehended. We don't know the status of the shooter. The 4 officers that were wounded are okay. 2 of the civilians that were wounded are okay. We don't have any numbers on other victims. We don't have totals on fatalities. Really not a lot of information has come out of this. We do know that the coroner did show up on scene at the plant where the shooting happened. We know that the shooter was an employee of the plant. Rumors that there were some layoffs. We don't know if that's confirmed or not. But we do have confirmation that it was an employee there. So as soon as we have the press conference start or we hear something brand new, we'll of course let you know. In the meantime, since there isn't any new information, I might as well go ahead and tell you talk to you about what I had teased and promoted from yesterday. There's a new study on voter ID laws, and I know you're going to be really stunned by the results, okay? So the study was compiled by 2 professors, Vincent Pons of Harvard University Business School and Enrico Cantoni of the Economics Department of the University of Bologna in Italy. It was issued by the National Bureau of Economic Research based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, okay? This is not a study done by a blogger. This is a very real academic study. For all the heated debates around strict voter ID laws, our analysis of their effects obtains mostly null results, the study says. First, the fears that strict ID requirements would disenfranchise disadvantaged populations have not materialized. In other words, voter ID does not disenfranchise minority voters. It's a total lie. Second, contrary to the argument used by the Supreme Court in the 2008 case Crawford versus Marion County to uphold the constitutionality of one of the early strict ID laws, we find no significant impact on fraud or public confidence in election integrity. This result weakens the case for adopting such laws in the first place. In 2008, Supreme Court upheld Indiana's voter ID law. It was 6-3, and that was the case of Crawford versus Marion County Election Board. The Republican-controlled state legislatures have passed voter ID laws as a measure to prevent voter fraud, while Democratic lawmakers have alleged that such laws are voter suppression. We played the Ami Horowitz video on what white liberals think of Black Americans. Is a very, very good video. They went to a college campus. They asked a bunch of white liberals what they thought of voter ID laws, and they talked about how poor blacks would not be able to vote. Poor blacks don't have voter ID. They don't have driver's licenses. They don't know where the DMV is. They don't know how to get those licenses. They don't know where to vote. They don't know anything about the election process or any of that. They don't have access to the internet. They don't have smartphones. This is just some of the stuff that white liberals at college universities were saying about minorities. So then he went to Harlem. Harlem, obviously known as being mostly black population and a very closely knit community, a lot of low income individuals. So he went to Harlem and he started asking people. And it was weird. They all had cell phones. They all had driver's licenses. They all had ID of some kind. They all knew where their voting and polling location were. They all knew where the DMV was so they could get it. And in fact, several of them said, no, it's right up here on this street here. They actually gave directions to it. So because, again, you're talking about what I have found in my experience is that low-income areas, the people in low-income areas tend to know their neighborhood better than those in upper middle class and beyond. So they just tend to know their streets. And a lot of that is because they're walking around. They don't have vehicles sometimes, but they just tend to know the neighborhood. Sometimes it's a generational thing because they've been there for so long that multiple generations of the same family have lived in the same home or the same neighborhood for an extended period of time, and they just know the area very well. And you get into some of the middle class, upper middle class, wealthy neighborhoods, they don't. They use their GPS to get around everywhere. Whereas others just tend to know their neighborhood. It just seems to be the case. So Ami Horowitz went in there and went into Harlem, and they were able to disprove in that one little video what a lot of the liberal college students who happen to be white were saying. And this kind of goes back. There's another form of racism where you think less of minorities and therefore you expect less of them, even though you in your heart might want to help them. It's a form of pity racism, really. And this is what Joe Donnelly got caught up in. I wish Mike Braun would have hit him more on this when they campaigned, but it turns out that Mike Braun didn't need to. And when he talked with us, he said, our internal polling shows us up big. And he was up big. His internal polling was accurate and the external polling was wrong. But Joe Donnelly got caught up with this where he was saying that I've got these minorities who work for me. And guess what? They do a better job than you would imagine they could do. What are you talking about? Why would you say that? And then he doubled down on it and repeated it. It was very strange, very awkward. So Harvard University, Cambridge in Massachusetts, a university in Bologna, Italy, they all get together. They look at the laws that do this. They find out that voter ID laws do not suppress the vote. They do not disenfranchise anybody. They don't disenfranchise minorities or low-income individuals. They don't do any of that. And there is no evidence to support that assertion anyway. But that's what has constantly been used to demonize voter ID laws. And you still got this lady from Georgia running around and pretending that she was robbed of her election victory because of voter ID laws, in spite of the fact that the people who were purged from the rolls had people who had not responded, not voted in an extended period of time. We have to get to a point where we do purge the voter rolls. I wish they would just do a complete reset, frankly, every 8 to 10 years. I wish they would do that. Everybody gets purged and then you re-register. I wish they would do that. Or at least you have to re-register when you get your driver's license renewal. Something of that nature, okay? That would help keep the system updated, and then we wouldn't have so many people who are not alive, not legally allowed to vote, don't live in the area, still on the rolls to be exploited with voter fraud, which we continue to find on a regular basis. So there you go. Academic research saying definitively, once again, yet another study, there's several of them, voter ID laws do not disenfranchise or suppress the vote in any way, shape, or form. We've got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. MNC News Time is 5:31. Time to check out Masters Heating and Air Conditioning online at mastersheatcool.com. Masters gets there faster.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station.
Well, they probably were going to be late, so I wasn't too stressed about it. So I finally had my first ban of somebody for bigoted comments today. And I've got Tim Skibby going, is this the guy that you banned?
Last month, the university announced that it would be covering the paintings which line the corridors of the main building of the campus. The South Bend Tribune reports that the committee will look at where high-resolution images of the murals should be put up on the campus.
95.3 MNC's Caleb Hatch reporting. The police of Mishawaka are still looking for the driver involved in the deadly hit-and-run collision. It happened last night just before 11 o'clock in the 1000 block of East McKinney. The driver of a small red four-door Nissan.
So it must mean that the bigot is making a stink about being banned. And here's the thing. The bigot was warned several times, multiple times. A poll was done about whether or not the bigot should be banned. And then the bigot continued to be a bigot and posted a bigoted comment this morning, and that was it. So that's how it goes. If you're gonna be stupid and post dumb things, you're gonna go ahead and face the consequences, I guess. They do kind of look like New York Ranger shirts. Yeah, it was on Facebook. Initials are RP, but that's it.
Richard Petty.
Richard Petty, you know it.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, 4 police officers among the injured. Again, at least 1 person is dead. This is a Fox News alert. Weather served up by the Prime Table. Start your morning routine with the Prime Table in Niles. This week's breakfast special, French toast and French toast combos are half off from 6:30 to 10:30 in the morning.
Now, your home comfort experts, heating specialist first warning forecast.
Cold and breezy today with mostly cloudy skies turning partly cloudy, and temperatures won't even make it out of the 20s for a daytime high. For tonight, clouds move back in with a low of 16. And for Saturday, it will be pretty nice with partly cloudy skies and a high of 32.
You're supposed to do an Empress every day, right?
In the ABC 57
Yeah.
Neighborhood Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emma Kennedy.
News powered by Temper Grill.
Last I heard.
Plans this week to experience the unmatched style of Temper Grill. Seating is limited. Call or visit temperedgranger.com today.
When we say food with attitude, what we mean is the finest American-style tapas food in Michiana. Surrounded by a craft beer, fine wine, champagne, and dessert list that is as unique and seasonal as our menu. At Temper Grill, Chef Sean works with the finest ingredients to deliver you an unmatched dining experience that changes every week to fit the time of the year and its mood, while always satisfying your taste buds. Visit Tuesday nights for half-price wine bottles, Wednesday for $2 beer night. Visit Thursdays to check out Roman's Ridiculous List, or upgrade your evenings Tuesdays through Saturdays with the atmosphere of Temper Grill. We're the perfect backdrop for any occasion. Reservations required, 21 and up. Explore our menu, buy gift cards, or make a simple dinner reservation at tempergranger.com. Unplug and relax with a truly unforgettable dining experience. Because life is too short and the food is too good to break bread in a bad mood. Temper Grill. Food.
Ron Paul is not a bigot.
Vaguely, Mike, vaguely. Not enough to have a discussion on who he is. I know the name. I know he's a rock star or something. I don't remember who, right? No?
Rock star.
No. No. Richard Petty. Right? No.
You mean the Richard Petty? The real Richard Petty? Are they asking if you know who real Richard Petty is?
The one that I referenced.
Or are you talking about real Richard Petty or the Facebook person? Well, real
Again,
Richard
I don't
Petty
really
is
know.
a legendary race car driver.
That was meant. Vaguely, like I said. Steve wants to know what the Norwich station is called.
Like the studio line? Like the 574 25 95 95 3 number? Or the corporate line?
Cocaine and Lunchables.
That sounds like a good time.
What was that when I was younger?
I don't know.
You know they're confident and ready.
Yeah, so I guess Skibby knows the individual. Like, I went to school with him. He used to be nice. I was like, he's a bigoted douche nozzle.
Oh, the image sheets. Mine is gray. And I prefer it to be
I didn't get a gray one. I wish I had a gray one.
I got a gray one.
This one's actually, this is nice. This is a nice one. Most of our shirts are not great, but this is a cool one. I like this one.
I like the gray better than the blue, honestly. Mostly because, like, the lettering looks better on the gray.
Yeah, well, and gray is just a better color than blue anyway. So, Speed, do you need the studio number or do you need the corporate number? Okay.
Michiana Seduce Channel. Would you like to talk to Casey?
It's Sue Cosner, sexual health expert on men's performance in the bedroom. Do me a favor and don't touch that dial. That's a mistake. If you've been listening to this radio station, you've probably heard a compelling radio ad for Noxatril, the potent all-natural.
Can I get your name, please?
Men constantly reach out and ask me, does this
Andy?
Noxatril really work? Or is it
All
just
right,
another
I'll try to get you
scam
on that
product?
then.
I can tell you, there's nothing better than Noxatril. I recommend
Is that Speed on hold?
Might be.
It will transform your life in the bedroom once and for all.
And he wants to talk about Jeff Bezos and everything. So.
No prescription, no.
Dude, it's so funny. Like, the latest on Jeff Bezos is that Jeff Bezos' girlfriend shared his dick pic with people.
His Prime member.
Yeah, his Prime member. Yes, women have been doing that since the beginning of time. Like, he didn't know that she was going to share that with her friends. And like I said, he paid good money for it. So I find it impossible to believe you're the richest person on earth and you don't go into the knife for that. Sorry. Oh my God, you're in trouble.
Hi, this is Josh from Wise Money with Corehorn Financial Group. After saving
Dude.
for decades, how do you transition to withdrawing money?
This stupid teenager threw a chair from a high-rise apartment balcony onto the highway.
Oh, man, that's great.
And she filmed herself doing it. Oh my God. There's your proof that Joe is a commie. He doesn't know who the king is.
Oh, yeah, number 43. Yeah.
STP, man.
STP, yeah.
And good afternoon. Thank you
for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-25-95-95.3. We're still waiting for the press conference from Aurora, the active shooter incident that happened there earlier today, but we haven't received any confirmation that it's going to happen anytime soon. It's supposed to happen at 5:30, but we're obviously late, which happens sometimes. And as soon as we learn anything, we will let you know. We'll cut to it if we are in the middle of something else. But back to the phone lines we go. Andy, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, Casey. How you going?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Oh, pretty good. Just got a lot at work. I wanted to call and ask you, have you noticed the more leftist-leaning influence in the new Grand Tour?
Yes, and I've noticed it in particular with the old man who's talking about emissions and climate change quite a bit. Yes.
Yes, they made the long-haired guy mad by putting a Brexit sticker on his vehicle.
Yep.
And they
lost his mind
to poor Hammond's truck as the Trump truck.
Correct. Yep, the big like 1990s Chevy with the lift kit on there, and they called it the Trump truck. And yeah, I have definitely noticed that. So James May we've always known that James May was the more liberal of the three, but it's really come out quite a bit. And so I'm just short. I think episode 5 was the one that I watched last night, where he was reviewing the Alpine, which is the French sports car. And he actually bought one because it had low emissions because it was a light sports car. And he kept talking about it repeatedly. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's okay. We get it. Yeah, the Brexit sticker was pretty funny because Jeremy Clarkson is much more on the political right. I think Richard Hammond is a little bit more on the right, but a little bit more centered. And then May's always been on the left, but it's really come out this season.
Well, I guess my question about that was, do you think that is Bezos and Amazon saying, "Hey, we want this show to kind of lean left," or is it them saying, "You guys can be whoever you want to be on the show"? Feel free to be yourself.
I would like to believe that it's the latter, because we've always had the hints from James May that he leans left. So I would like to believe that it's, hey, just be you. You guys, your jobs are secure. Just be you. I did see in one of the episodes they said their budget was cut a little bit. So I don't know. I would like to believe that they were not telling them to be more left oriented. But I mean, ultimately, who knows? I mean, with everything happening with Jeff Bezos, Jeff Bezos is typically not a leftist. He's more libertarian, but he and Trump have this huge spat. And then, of course, he owns the Washington Post, which is hugely left. And so there's a lot of people that are, assuming that he's a liberal, but he's always been reported as a libertarian. Now, I will say that some liberals own this radio station. And there's the family that owns Federated Media is pretty split. There's conservatives and liberals. And, for some time, liberals owned the station, were in controlling stake of the station. They still allowed us to be us. So I don't know that Bezos owning the Washington Post necessarily means that Bezos is moving to the left or not. I have no idea. But I would like to think that they were just telling them to be themselves, and that's what they were doing. Maybe there was just an organic moment of harassing him about Brexit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just learning. I never knew Bezos was more of a libertarian guy. I thought he was a pretty big liberal lefty or whatever you want to call him.
He always had a reputation as being libertarian. Now, that doesn't mean that he hasn't moved, You become the richest guy in the world, I guess that can do that to you. It's,
right.
People have differing political opinions, and perhaps Jeremy Clarkson doesn't like Trump, even though he tends to lean more politically to the right. It's entirely possible.
From my social media following of Jeremy, it seems he's not really a fan of Brexit either.
Okay. So, there's a lot. The European friends that I know, one of the reasons they're not fans of Brexit is not because they don't believe in the UK. They're scared to death of what it's going to mean economically. They're so ingrained in the European Union that they're genuinely afraid of the economy collapsing. And it's kind of weird because the European Union hasn't been around that long, and the UK. I remember when it was being formed, I was like, wow, the UK and Germany are really getting a raw deal here, because the UK and Germany's economies were really strong and all of these other member nations' economies were crap.
Yeah, I believe that's definitely one of the points he always brings up, is that, after Brexit, we're all going to be living in caves and burning wood for heat.
Well, I mean, I would like a fireplace. That would be great. I think I'm the only person in Michiana who's not lived in a house with a fireplace yet.
They're pretty nice during the winter.
Yeah, I would assume. Communist Joe says he's never had a fireplace either, and he's from here. So I guess I'm not alone on that. But yeah, I've totally noticed. Show's still great. I still recommend it to anybody. But I was actually making a mental note of that when I was watching the episode last time. Like, wow, they've really brought up sort of left-leaning issues a lot this season, and typically they remain neutral. And then Jeremy Clarkson bashes global warming. So that's usually how it goes. But yeah, definitely. So maybe a part of that was James May going, hey, he gets to harass global warming all the time, and maybe I want an opportunity to defend that. And they said, okay.
Yeah, that's probably it. One thing I will suggest is the next episode coming up is about China.
Yes.
And they do talk about all the cameras and you're being watched all the time. They do bring that up.
Interesting. So. Yeah. I'm interested in that. I always like their China episodes where they test the American knockoffs that China copies. Those are always good episodes. They did that, I think, a couple of years ago, too, and it was a great episode because China just steals all these designs and they try to recreate it, but they're all, like, really bad.
Yep, patent laws don't exist in China, and I think a BMW whatever is like a Xing Shang XJ 125
Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, I've noticed, so you're not alone.
All right. Well, I guess I'll let you go then.
All right, man. Have a good weekend, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.
You too.
Take care. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Wrong button. Huh? Still turn it off like a second.
Thanks, Grandma. We'll see if we get it. I got to sign the paperwork today, so.
Woo! $58.50 today.
This morning. Otherwise, we are going to see some cool and breezy conditions today, with temperatures only reaching into the 20s as we get to this afternoon.
I've told people forever, if you wanted to have everybody's pipe dream in the United States, take all of the political ideologies that we have in the United States, okay, even libertarians, the way to make everybody happy is to conquer or annex Canada and Mexico. If we do that, everybody's happy. Those countries get the freedom of America. If you want socialized medicine, you move to the Canadian province. You got cheap labor from Mexico. It's a win-win, man. I'm telling you. Don't have to worry about illegal immigration anymore. If only we would do it. We've got to have the fortitude to conquer those two countries. That's what it is.
News, traffic, and weather, and the #1 talk show lineup in Michiana, anytime, everywhere. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Hello, I'm Les Anderson, owner of Signs of the Times.
It solves all of our problems, doesn't it?
A lot of the services we offer, the vehicle wraps have been
God.
several years. And with that, our business has grown. And
That's right. Yeah, you take over Mexico. The southern border is just 114 miles or so. Ballparkish.
it's a notch above. When you walk in,
Yes, Judy Clark is my grandma. Although sometimes my mom uses her account, but I think it's grandma today.
they do, and they want to help you and take care of your needs. Whether it's it's a small job or whether it's a $5,000 or $10,000 job, I want.
Oh my God, Dean, get out of here.
It doesn't really matter.
The Pelosi perfume. Do you remember a couple of years ago there was a vagina trend in beauty? Do you remember that? So you had vagina perfume, and it didn't. It was supposed to smell authentic. Is the best way I can put it. But then they had, remember the vagina lollipops? Remember that? I used to joke on this show, is like, who do you think the model is with that? Can you get a picture of the model so you can get some kind of an idea of what's transpiring right here? I'm shocked to learn that those that did not catch on. I figured they would have caught on. Thought we were onto a real trend there.
Add adult classes only one night a week and finish courses in only 7 weeks. That's only 7 classes per course. Make the personal connection on campus and the
God, the Washington Post is such crap.
and connect with the professors that take.
No, okay, we're not. The Washington Post is trying to friggin' paywall you on the friggin' Aurora shooting. If you want to read about the Aurora shooting, you got to pay them $1. What? Gee, let me just go to one of the 150 billion other sources out there. If you're going to paywall a breaking news story like that, you had better have information that nobody else has. Next week's taste test. Oh my God. I had been getting away with not coughing today, damn it. I hadn't coughed that much.
Call 1-800-551-4182. That's 800-551-4182. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now. 800-551-4182. That's 800-551-4182.
My God. That actually hurt. Yeah, he damn near killed me. I was doing just fine until that. Just fine. It's my own fault for bringing it up, I guess. At least one person is confirmed dead. So that's the latest. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. We have had a slew of different conversations on the live stream today. And we just got done with an online content is unrated portion of the live stream. By the way, check us out on the live stream, covered by Signs of the Times for vehicle wraps, signs, apparel, business cards, and anything to brand your business to the world. Contact Les and the team at Signs of the Times, online at signsofthetimselkhart.com. For those of you who showed up to Monterey this morning and picked up some stickers, those stickers were made at Signs of the Times. So if you enjoyed the quality of those stickers, now you know the quality work that they can do. All right, so we are live streaming again, youtube.com/Casey the host, facebook.com/Casey the host. So here's the latest that we have on Aurora. We still don't have these press conference. So I'm assuming it's going to happen the moment I turn my microphone off and start walking out the door, because that's when it always happens. They almost always happen at 6 o'clock. We were told 5:30. That is come and gone. But here's the latest that we have, okay? The active shooting situation has stopped. The word that ABC7 is now saying for the shooter is neutralized. The coroner's office has confirmed one fatality. That's all we have. The 4 officers are in stable condition who are injured. They're okay. Those are Aurora police officers. They're not federal agents. Multiple civilians have also been injured. We do know that at least 2 of those civilians are okay. We know that some people were airlifted. We don't know if the fatality was a coworker. We don't know if the fatality is the shooter. We don't know. But it went from apprehended the shooter to neutralize the shooter. So the assumption is the shooter is dead.
And we would have assumed at this point in time, by the way, this is the quietest I think I've ever seen an investigation other than the Las Vegas shooting, which I'm getting new information about from exclusive sources in Las Vegas, by the way. So stay tuned for that update. There's not a lot of information coming out about this. Not a lot of leaks. They've done a pretty good job of keeping it all contained, but we still don't have a lot of information on this. But we have one person confirmed dead. We figured there was at least one fatality because the coroner's office did show up to the scene, but we don't know who that is, if they're one of the civilians or not. We do know that witnesses said it was a coworker who showed up to work on time and then began in the afternoon, several hours later, started to shoot people. Early reports were that it was a possible termination, that they were fired. There were even people who are a mile away saying that they heard there were going to be layoffs today, but we don't know if that is actually the case, okay? So the press conference we were hoping to happen at 5:30 is obviously running behind, and just stay tuned to 95.3 MNC. If it happens, you will certainly hear about it. We go into Fox News and that sort of stuff. It'll pop on too as well. So just stay tuned and we'll be able to go ahead and update you on that stuff. All right, 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. So what else do we have here before we get out of here? There's so much that has been happening. I'm hoping to get Mike Braun on next week. I want to talk to Mike Braun about the situation. Yeah, hoping. Man, he is, okay, for some reason, like not some reason, okay, we know this, it always happens with me. Politicians avoid me. Anytime they can avoid me, they will. If they're running for re-election, they'll come on the program. After that, they run. I don't know why he would be running from me, and I'm not saying that he is, but he goes on with Pat Miller all the time. He doesn't come on with me. Like, I never hear back. Drives me nuts. But he's got an interesting proposal about if we don't pass a budget, then nobody in Congress gets paid. Love that idea, because there needs to be a budget. So hopefully we will be able to have him on next week and kind of talk about that proposal. It doesn't have a chance in all get up of happening, but it's nice to see somebody actually trying. What else do we have here? Oh, restaurants actually hate Valentine's Day.
No way, really?
Joe seems shocked by that. Just going by the article. Paul Boyes over at the Daily Wire. You might think that restaurant owners look forward to Valentine's Day like Hershey's looks forward to Halloween, and you would have thought wrong. By the way, Hershey's does not even qualify as chocolate in Europe because it's trash. Just saying. Love yourself, okay? If somebody has a bunch of Hershey's chocolate in their house and single-ply toilet paper, you can't love them because they don't love themselves. Just leave, okay? You're better off. Wait till they heal, and then you can try again. According to the New York Post, restaurants actually dread the day upon which the West celebrates courtly love in the name of Saint Valentine. Add restaurateurs to the list of curmudgeons who don't love Valentine's Day, according to Lisa Fickenschurer. Anxious lovebirds scrambling to book a table this week might guess that fancy eaters are gaga over February 14th, but many proprietors say that it is actually a once-a-year headache that they just as soon skip. So I guess all of the extra revenue that they make on that day is not worth the hassle. Couples often indulge in elevated food on Valentine's Day, often shelling out an extra $50 for that special bottle of Cabernet or that overpriced chocolate souffle. But as a whole, the day leaves more to be desired from a business standpoint. It clears out the highly profitable regulars at the bar who usually have more drinks. Remember, drinks are the most profitable section of a restaurant. And likewise, the table for two only night limits the size of the tab that comes with bigger groups and corporate events. Interesting. So a lot of the restaurants, and I'm assuming that we are probably talking about a lot of the busy restaurants. And so some of the restaurants who are struggling for business probably really appreciate Valentine's Day. What are you wigging out about over there?
Somebody took off their shirt. A woman took off her shirt and bra on Sky News.
On Sky News?
Yeah.
In England?
Yeah, and the five were talking about it.
Must Google to confirm. Hold on.
And I was like, oh, that's a thing that happened.
Just totally just trying to verify that what Joe is telling me is accurate. Sky News top off. just trying to confirm that it actually, yeah. Rachel Johnson strips off on Sky News. Oh, okay. Cool. Gross. Just, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a good weekend. I am on the mend. I feel much better. And hopefully by Monday, my voice will be well rested and I will sound even better. So thank you so much for coming out to Monterey today. For those of you who did, have a great weekend. Be safe. See you Monday.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy.
I'm not even going to dignify it.
So what did she do this as a Brexit thing?
I don't know. There's no subtitles. All I saw was the woman took off her shirt and they were blurring out her chest. I was like, what the heck is this?
Call me at 574-621-3277.
Brexit took an inexplicable turn on Thursday when Remain campaigner Rachel Johnson, so she opposes Brexit, stripped off on Sky News. So she is pro-EU. Ms. Johnson, appearing on the Pledge debate show, said that she was inspired by the naked Brexit protester, Dr. Victoria Bateman, as she removed her blouse. Since Friday last week, Dr. Bateman, an anti-Brexit Cambridge University professor. Oh, professors at Cambridge are stripping down to show everybody how you get attention. Has been appearing naked on TV and radio shows to make the point that Brexit leaves Britain naked. No, she has a fetish, and she's using this as an excuse to showcase her fetish. Let's be perfectly honest. She's not. Comment, she's not. Don't look it up. She's not. She's not attractive, dude. She's like a 3 maybe, if you've had a couple of drinks. Good Lord. Yeah, no problem, Speed. It's always good to. Those Fridays are about, man. I like it when people call about cars and stuff. I don't get to talk about it nearly enough. My 6-year-old is not. She likes cars, but she doesn't quite understand them, you know. So it kind of goes into: is it fast? Is it big? What color is it? That's all she cares about.
That's all you need to care about, Casey.
Well, you know, I like talking about the intricacies of it and everything else. And
I know just enough to not know. Just enough to be like, yes, I understand what you're saying. I don't know what any of that really means.
Yeah, so they're calling it workplace violence at this point, but we still don't have a press conference on this thing, so it's going to happen here in just a minute. Or in a little bit, but probably. I'm going to walk out of the building. I'm going to be in the car, and it's going to happen. That's how it's going to go down. All right.
Oh. It's like, what?
Who was I talking? I was talking to somebody about Factory 5 racing the other day. I don't remember if that was here or if that was somewhere. I think it was here. I think somebody mentioned kit cars. Man, Factory 5 Racing, what is their current lineup? If I could get an endorsement with Factory 5 Racing, I would be the happiest person in the world. It is a bold statement. I didn't say it would last. I said I would be the happiest person in the world, which would last for about half an hour. What's their website? Factory5.com. Okay. So they're known for their old Ford Roadsters and stuff. Oh, dude, they've got truck kits now. Oh my God, they're old. Oh. Guys, I'm gonna need a moment alone.
We have to record things.
Oh. You don't want to record what's about to come out of my mouth.
Well, it's getting recorded right now.
Oh my God. Okay, so they've got a couple of new cars since even the last time that I saw them. So they had the Type 65, which is a coupe, and that thing is really cool. But they're known for their 33 hot rod. But they have a 35 hot rod truck. And they have a Barrett Jackson edition to that truck, too. I want that truck so bad. Their MK4 is basically a Shelby clone. However, I've always wanted their GTM supercar. And the GTM supercar, which is a stellar looking vehicle. You buy the kit for 25 grand, and then you put like a you can put a Ford or a Chevy engine in it. It is so light. It goes 0 to 60 in like three seconds or something. It's just, and again, it's a kit car with all of the safety features, but it's faster than production cars. Now you don't get bells and whistles like, you know, navigation and stuff like that, but but I am all about this truck. Plus they've got a car that looks like it's like a sports car, the 818, and I'm all about that thing too. Dude, I need to be rich. I want this truck. I want this 35 truck. Oh my God, that's so pretty. Go to factory5.com. It's the word 5. And just peruse. Wow. Must have. Absolutely must have. Want them all. Okay. I got to bounce, folks. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Have a good weekend, and wish me luck on the house.
Good luck.